All right, good evening, everybody. Looks like we're started live. I'll give it a minute to catch up, get some people in the chat room, post it on some social media, and we will get this party started. Plus, I got to adjust my picture here, I guess, on it. Let's get this out there. Yeah, thanks everybody checking in Friday night. Sure, there's other things you could be doing, like sleeping. But I will share this over to a couple places and whatnot. We'll get started. Hope everybody's had a good week. We are prepping for Christmas, of course, and whatnot. Make sure you're getting your 12 stuff going. Hopefully, everybody's getting everything they wanted for Christmas. Let's see where we at here. Get this over to the G Plus, etc. But if everybody has not been paying attention, or if you've just now catching up, been some significant events uh, in the Bundy Ranch standoff case in Vegas, which we want to cover here. Um, I don't know. Probably most of you that are in here, once I get out of the chat room, I'll check it. But most of you are very familiar with the whole situation and are probably keeping tabs on it as closely as any of us. But we did discuss it on Tony's chat last night a little bit, and there's just been a little bit more information come out today. And if there's anything that I haven't found out, please share in the chat, and we can talk about anything new that came up that I may not cover. But I'm going to do the monologue thing here first, just to go through everything to catch anybody up that's not aware. And then we will put some links out to the room. Gives people's in some input, whatnot. I will not put a live link out because I don't want to get shut down like Tony's chat did out the other night. That was a hoot. So looks like we got about 7 out there checking in with us. Thanks for coming. I'm trying to get it to 10 before I get really started into this because anybody needs catching up. You hate to backtrack. And obviously, you guys in the chat room can catch up about people that come in later. We should have Tony checking in here in a little bit. We'll probably have him come in the chat room as well. Saints, Kazar, looks like you're out there. Kazar, I'll send you a link if you want to come in later. Caregiver with us and Brenda out in the chat room conversing. Welcome. Thanks for coming. Kentucky, Mr. Long, or M. Long at least, maybe not Mr. With us. Thanks for coming, checking in. And hopefully we will inform you if you are not already informed. And catch everybody up to what's going on. But obviously the Bundy trial in Vegas started. I didn't really started. It only got to the prosecution starting their opening arguments before everything kind of slowed down and then shut down, basically. They are still out until Tuesday, I believe. I'm starting to get things mixed up because the tax vote's coming up Monday, and I got that stuck in my head too, so I don't want to mix those two together. But I think they come back into the courtroom Tuesday, but that doesn't mean the jury is going to be there or anything like that. I don't think the jury is coming back until the 20th. But if you want to catch up on any of that information, Kelly Stewart and John Lamb on the Facebook, and obviously mirrored over to YouTube on Valley Forge Network, and Jay Grady shares a lot of their stuff as well on the YouTube and mirrors it over basically. So if you need to catch up on the hearing of the trial, they're there practically every day. And they're going to be there again. They were there today, had an update for, there was basically a private closed hearing, which they weren't in, but they did give some updates from that today. But again, you can check John Lamb and Kelly Stewart to find any information about the trial specifically coming up in the coming week. And I would imagine they will shut down for Christmas and New Year's even, probably, if they don't do what I suspect they will do. So it looks like we're up. We'll get started. So for those that haven't seen, there has been a leak from federal agents within the investigative team of the BLM that was investigating the case over the past 2 years, essentially. The agent, and this is this video here, was shared by Redoubt News, or the interview was actually done by Redoubt News of this Washington state representative last night, who went through the leaked material and this statement that this BLM agent forwarded to his higher authorities. And he had also emailed that basically some summarization of his observations of unethical behavior, lawful in some cases, he suspected, but obviously he wasn't going to surmise that because that's not his job. He made that clear in some of the documents. But he sent a copy to the attorneys, U.S. attorney in Vegas, Stephen Meyer, who apparently, now it's come out, was present at the BLM roundup on the day of the 12th, if not the day before. But he was present and like giving direction or consulting with Dan Love, which makes him a witness, which means he shouldn't be a prosecuting attorney on the trial as well. So that was a pretty significant, finding that out. Also, we found out a lot more of Dan Love's shenanigans that he had done in other cases, and he's just basically a dirtbag. It amazes me, some of the things that you hear. It's like people talk about the military and being in the Marine Corps, about how, you know, you get a bunch of guys together, how they act. The way the BLM acts ain't got, I mean, we would never do some of the things you read in that document. But you can see the document itself at itmattershowyousstand.com, or is it .org? But It Matters How You Stand. It's on their website. They've got the whole document, the email document, and the statement from that agent, who the agent was relieved of his position as an investigator in February. That's important to note. It took this long for this to get released to this state senator, state representative from Washington, who's on the screen here. That gentleman got this. He didn't really say how he got it, but it was something that agent had forwarded to his higher, and there was this representative was going to send it to Department of Interior, the Deputy Attorney General, et cetera, within the executive branch, stuff like that, and asking Congress to investigate appropriately as well, was one of his statements. Now, I did notice that Zinke, who is the Department of Interior chief now, had made a statement in the last 2 weeks, I believe, had put out a policy notice, or, you know, how they do official notices, you know, department wide, that there was going to be a culture change within the BLM, kind of like anybody's been in the military, when you ever have a commanding general saying, we're going to change the culture and we're going to do things the right way, and et cetera. He had just put one of those out, kind of alluding to things were a little loose around the edges. And I do not know if that was in reaction to this document and this letter that was put out by these folks or not. That would be interesting if it's already got to him, because it seems like it would, because it was dated previously and just now got to this level. And when the court was dismissed last week, obviously there's new things happening, is why Navarro released the jurors and had those private sessions last week. So some of this was probably coming to light behind the scenes, not out of the public eye, and this just got to the public in this. The only public reference I see to this has been on the Vegas Review Journal. It was in the paper today about the document and the allegations. It's not in the Reno paper, and it's probably in a bunch of small papers, but it's not widely released because, again, it's a local reporter that's doing it. It's not the AP or anybody like that. The Review Journal from Vegas is about the only ones that have even been at the courthouse. There's been no national media on this case at the court hearings, period. Even the other level 2-1 tier people, national media has been pretty much gone, out of sight, out of mind. Say the document was dated November 27th, but I think that's when he sent it to the deputy, the attorney, Stephen Meyer. I don't think that's when he wrote the document and sent it to his higher authorities. So there's a time gap there. So go check that out in the Review Journal article. It talks about, so that's what the public's seeing here. And they cover it pretty well about how he talks about the misdeeds of all the BLM agents and the investigators, the investigative team, and even the FBI. They talk about sharing images of basically a FBI kill board, for lack of a better term, where they X off different suspects as they go off the board up at the FBI operations center. This is what I found interesting. They did interview a law professor at the university down there. The only law school we have in the state is at UNLV. And they said that there's ethical violations the state bar can investigate, and that would be disbarring Meyer and some of those other attorneys down there that are on the case because they have conflict of interest, it appears. And Stacey B had brought that up about the state AG getting involved, and obviously the state bar has the more direct licensing of attorneys to disbar them and get them stopped from practicing law in the state. But that would be very unusual, as everybody can probably fully imagine. So that's a good article. Go check that out. And it's the only one I can find that talks about this specifically, about this memo. There's been several good interviews and YouTube videos. Colonel Potter did the rundown. This is from last night. You can go check out his channel. He did another one today. This is the more important one, I think, or the more updated one, I should say. This is from this morning. Yes, it's actually 6 hours ago, it says. So actually this afternoon, I can't remember when I saw it. But obviously he has contacts in Vegas and in the area. And from what their understanding is that there were two lists that were maintained. The one that they had at the law enforcement side, and there may have been one developed after the events of April 12th. There was another one developed, and he alludes in this video that it had more to do with a Mormon, basically a Mormon hit list of the what he called apostates, basically, where the senior leaders of the church put out a list of people who were basically not following church leadership and should be taken care of, for lack of a better word. You can't surmise but so much of it. But Brian Thornton, who, if you've seen any of the videos and followed anything, he's the guy that blows the horn all the time at all these events. It's called a shofar. He was there at the ranch with Colonel Potter, and he's been at the trials and stuff. I believe, lives in Vegas, and he blows the shofar, which is that horn, sheep horn, that they blow for. Basically, it's part of biblical reference to it. But they were saying that Brand was 25 on that list. What does that mean exactly? There's a lot we can impugn, and I'll wait for some people to get in the chat room and we can talk about that a little bit. But we can surmise about that a little bit when I get people in the chat. and discuss that more. But that's a good video. That's on his channel. This is John Lamb today. It's on going to be on Jay Grady and Miss B Stacy's channel. You can see it here. They tried to sanction Amon's attorney today, and they were worried about these leaks, and the prosecution was trying to go after these leaks because the prosecution's implicated in these leaks. So of course they are. But I don't think Navarro fell for it, apparently. Go listen to that video Miss B Stacy put out, and Jay Grady has it on his channel as well. And obviously it's going to be on John Lamb and Kelly Stewart on the Facebook, if you want to go over to there. So that kind of was the action of the day and last night. But the biggest thing is that if there were two lists maintained by potentially people aligned with the Mormon Church, because they said that Meyer and one of the agents were potentially Mormons, and they talked about in the document about possible religious tests where they would ask people if they were Mormon or not, and that's pretty evident. I've been watching the body cam video they took out of the 12th. There's obviously disregard for by the BLM agents and the Forest Service agents and whoever else all those armed army was under the bridge, the federal army they massed under there, they had a blatant disregard for other Americans. They were demonizing basically American citizens, name calling and all this other stuff. And that is very dangerous when you are able to dehumanize people like that. Anybody that's been in the military, you always respect your enemy because they know they have capabilities. And also when you're fighting a non-conventional war, which we've been doing for so long, you never know who is who, but you still have to treat everybody with respect because you want people to come to your side. BLM and those agents had far surpassed that and have total disregard. And you got to figure it's prevalent throughout this federal agency because it seemed to be too prevalent to not be. So that's some comments. Let me get some people in here. We can discuss this. Get the usual suspects and some others. But I want to just catch up everybody. And obviously we talked about it a little bit in Tony's chat last night, but that religious implication that he was talking about today of two separate lists, one during the event and one that was created after the event, separate, is fairly disturbing, I guess you'd say. I wouldn't say it necessarily shocks anybody either, because we all know they're capable of some pretty bad things, and would never be surprised. But it's also good to see that document basically confirmed everything we knew. We knew there were snipers. We knew they would be willing to use force like that on Americans and stuff. But to be that, now that it's out from another perspective, hopefully people will start taking it more seriously, because people laughed when they were told that there were snipers on the hill, and that people were pretty much thinking the Bundys were overreacting when they said they were surrounded by armed agents. But it's pretty much been shown to be true, in that Dan Love went out of his way to make it the most militarized reaction he could. And that's one thing else that came out of that document that was released. So real quick, I'm going to send some links out. I might be a little quiet here. Try to get through this. But how's everybody else's day been? Eamon did a radio interview today with a St. George radio station. At least it was recorded based out of a St. George radio station. It may have been maybe a syndication that's broadcast elsewhere, but seemed to be located locally there in St. George, Utah. Did an interview with a lady. It was really good. It's also on Jay Grady's channel on the YouTube, so you can go check that out. And see what he had to say today. It was from today, so very current, up to date with all of the information about going on. He was just really relieved that the information was getting out and is proving what they've been saying all along in a lot of respects. One thing that I do want to get around to before people join in here is I don't know that this necessarily changes anything. But with this coming to light, I think that everybody's talking about a dismissal with prejudice, which means it wouldn't be brought back up. I don't think that's going to be what happens. I think that they will get a mistrial, but I think they will bring this back up in the late winter, February timeframe. They will try to retry. I don't know that it's going to go to dismissal, and they will just call a mistrial, call another jury later in the winter, and to go have another go at it. Because it's very, in this document, it brings that up. The agent that wrote that document talked about that while these misdeeds by the BLM and et cetera and the investigative team were bad, it didn't excuse what the Bundys had done in response. And the angle I think that they can still go after, and they will, is that the people still don't have a right to resist the actions, even though they're wrong, of federal agents. I still think they're going to go after that. We'll see what happens, but right now I'm still leaning on the angle that they're not going to let it go, and they're still going to with the idea, which they pushed in the first couple of trials, that you do not have a right to resist misdeeds in this manner. You have to use the proper authorities, which in this case, if the Bundys would use the proper authorities, they'd be dead. If they were just laid back and said, hey, whatever, it appears they would be in some pretty under harm fairly badly. That was done. It's called the Kate Daly Radio. Again, it's from Jay Grady channel. You see there at the bottom. Eamon comes on at the 19-minute mark, it looks like. It also has a SoundCloud link for it to get it there. It is kind of quiet, but it might be a little louder. But she gets a good interview, and she kind of runs down the future of the kid. And Eamon even speaks to some of the mindset of Judge Navarro, which is good. Uh-oh, I hear scratching on the other side. My time is up.
What do you mean your time's up?
Who goes there? My time is up. I can't just run my mouth anymore. I got to talk to somebody else.
Who else in here but me and you?
And just you, but I can't talk to myself.
Well, hey,
how you doing, Mule?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Seems like it's being a good day in Nevada here lately. Looks like tyranny might be being kicked back in Nevada now that things are being exposed. Are we still here and alive?
Right. Yeah, we're still live. I was just talking about how I didn't think that it would end the trial necessarily. I think they'll press charges. They'll probably miss trial and then try it again, I think, after this. But we'll see what happens.
My hope is, they don't do a mistrial, that they take it to fucking trial. Okay. Why? Because I want this exposed, right? Here we are going through the Bundy trial. And remember, during the Bundy incident, right, and the one in Oregon, right, the liberal news couldn't shut the fuck up, right? Constantly calling these people racist and all kinds of craziness, right? They disparaged the Bundy so much that if they win in a trial, then they can take half these people to court for libel.
Well, I don't know if they can do that because the trial's not about that, though.
No, it's not about that at all, right? But with the exoneration in the courts, it would open up that kind of avenue. Now, I'm not saying that that's that big of a deal. Freeing the fucking Bundys and showing that law really does exist and the fucking government is not following it and never did, at least it seems in the Bundy case, for the past, fucking 20, 30 years, you know? And then some of the shit that's being released.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And Eamon talks about in his radio interview today about that maybe Navarro's come to say, but she wasn't giving them any credit, but now it's coming out from a different angle, and she's having to give some credence to it, and that's why she released them a couple weeks ago, those that got released and whatnot. The only bad thing is the federal government's still running the case, so they don't want this stuff to come out. So they might just ask for a mistrial and try it again. Probably Myrie's best angle.
Well, especially really because he's the thinking man. Culpable, right? I mean, from what I'm getting, getting from the information finally being released, is this guy's just as fucking culpable, right? So, and that's why I wanted to go to trial, so that way it's exposed and into the record, right? That this guy is just as fucking culpable, right? And I think you're right. The government at this point wants to go mistrial. Right, because then they can try again. But with this much government malfeasance in this case, they needed to bring it to trial, or she needs to rule in such a fashion that they can never fucking go after these people again. Okay? Now, the only reason why the government's been going after the Bundys since the beginning is they want that fucking land to do other shit with it, and they just want to stomp on the little guy and prove that you don't fuck with the federal government. And I know you don't like me dropping all the F-bombs I do, but that's just the truth, HD.
We can roll with it. I ain't going to bother me now.
Me and you have been friends a long time. I don't think I've heard you curse, but maybe once. So I know I do more than enough for both of us, but with my grandchildren now, I got to be careful because I don't want my grandson's first solid word to be fuck.
That day's coming, huh?
Hey, they get bigger every day, don't they?
Right.
I remember pictures when you first started on YouTube of your little guys. They were little guys. Not so much anymore.
Right. Right. You know that.
So, man, do you really think you're going to do a mistrial?
I think yeah, because I think they want to send a message that you don't stand up to the government. And I think people are getting things confused because I've heard several people in a couple of interviews and on a couple of videos, people are talking about this will be a great precedent. It'll be a states' rights case. It'll be, it'll validate the water rights, grazing rights. Like none of that is on trial. None of that is in play here. I think people are misconstruing that just because you win that case doesn't mean that those land rights issues are potentially improved, not resolved, but even improved.
Land rights, the Bundy's land rights would be improved. You know what I mean?
No, they wouldn't, because it's not on trial here. They can still go after. That's not at issue in this trial at all. That they were trespass cattle or that they had grazing rights. So, I don't think that's being allowed at all, and it's not part of it, which is unfortunate. But
Okay, so let me ask you a question here. If it's not part of it, then if somebody snuck around and paid the $8 fucking grand that they actually owe, not the fucking $1 million they try and play, you know?
Yeah.
So what would be the point of any of this, right? If someone say, it would have been.
The crime is a conspiracy to impede federal officers. Again, they're trying to get to the point of it doesn't matter if the federal government is in the wrong or they're not. You can't resist. That's what they're trying to.
Yeah. Okay.
Get through this. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. See, I didn't know. Look. I'll be honest. I turned off the world for a couple of months there. You know what I mean?
That's always a good option.
So, for me, I really, you know what, the Bundy thing has been pissing me off for dude. You know, because you're right there, and you were my eyes, ears, and legs for a long time. You know what I mean? And still are. But I know, right, that the evil shit the government's doing to these fucking people, and I want to see them come out with a win, and to be free to be able to graze their goddamn cattle, and the $8 grand could become about, you know, a GoFundMe shit or a Patreon shit would end that in 5 minutes, you know?
Oh yeah, that money would have been. They've probably already got the money. It's not about the money. That's the whole point.
Shit, yeah, I know, and that's the thing. And it is really about standing up to the federal government. If we're not able to do that, if that's illegal resistance to the federal government, especially nonviolent resistance, right? Because nobody on the Bundy side, our side, right, was ever violent. The only violence came from the fucking federal government, and that's why people came out to protect them from the violence of the federal government. There's no fucking conspiracy there.
Right. Yeah. Exactly, man. You know the deal. We've all heard it and seen it. But getting that across to people, the narrative that the majority accept is that you cannot resist do what the police tell you, mule. Doesn't that just tie in with everything else that goes on these days?
Oh, come on, man. You remember how many arguments we had with that shit with plenty of people. Some of the biggest fucking names on YouTube. Some dude's still rolling around on YouTube. You know?
Well, some like fucking off YouTube, right?
Right. Oh, and yeah, and Jaeger. I argued with fucking Jaeger a couple of times about that shit. And what are you telling me? I don't resist, and then I deal with it 6 months later in fucking court when the cop don't show up and it doesn't matter anymore.
Right. Fuck Clean you. Kill, right? It's a
right there on the side of the fucking road. Well, he can lock you up, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, well, you know, I try not to let shit get that far.
Right. But, yeah, the disagreements of what is allowed and what is not.
Oh, hey, Reb. Reb's out there, buddy. You should send him
I sent him a link. I did.
Oh, sweet. Jump your ass in, Reb, before my fucking phone dies. That's why I got no camera. Trying to keep You hit me up. I've been busy all day. I ran out to fucking Cook County and shit. Had to go do some shit up there.
Oh, no, not Cook County.
No, I wasn't in true Chicago. I was up in Cook County. And no, I didn't change out my magazine to a fucking 10-rounder. Fuck them. I don't give a shit.
Oh, do they have magazine restrictions up there?
I think so. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm rolling around with 20 in and 20 out. You know what I'm saying? So I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Yeah. I'll send. Hey, Reb, I'm gonna hit you on the Facebook too if you want to jump in.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you hit me up. My phone's half dead, so I'm hoping by not having the camera on,
right. It'll save the battery a little bit.
Yeah, well, I'm charging it too at the same time. So if I disappear anybody, that's the way it is. Hopefully Reb will jump in and take over with his long ass beard. That motherfucker, he's got ZZ Top beat with that shit.
You're just mad because he beat you. That's all you're more.
I am, dude. I trimmed my beard like last year, and Reb just kept growing and growing and growing and growing. And mine was good. I chopped like 4 inches off, but. Man, now I look at Reb and I'm pissed at myself, and damn, he put everybody to shame. He's going to look like Rip Van Winkle in another fucking year or two.
Yeah. So what's this about? We're off topic here a little bit, but you went to Cook County. So what's this about Chicago calling in UN troops?
I don't know. I didn't see it. Yeah, okay. I heard that out in the atmosphere, but do I believe any of it? Fuck you. They can't call in the UN. What are you, psycho? That's all bullshit.
But who's on the question?
You can't even call in. Look, you can't. The UN can't do dick here without permission from the government of the United States of America. Chicago ain't got shit to say. Rahm Emanuel can go shove his head up his ass. He can't bring in the fucking UN. Nobody can, right? You have to go through the United States government. Remember, we are not individual countries. Everybody likes to think we may be states, but we're not countries. This ain't fucking Europe. They ain't going nowhere. Fucking Chicago ain't goddamn Serbia, even though it's Chirac, right?
Let me find this article to see who exactly said that, because it was done in public. It wasn't like just a story. It was somebody actually said it, and that has like one of the elected
I'm
officials.
Sure it was some fucking either idiot activist or representative or somebody, but they don't know. You don't know dick about fucking the way shit really works in government or anything if you're going to say shit like that.
Well, no, it's because they think the U.S. government's ineffectual because their man's not in charge.
Well, yeah.
They're trying to sidetrack the government.
You know what I found there in the closet? You want to see? You want to hear something funny? You ever see those nutcrackers? Those Hillary nutcrackers?
No, I haven't seen those.
Okay, so back in 2007 or 8, whenever that fucking when she lost to Obama, right?
Yeah,
that was out there, the nutcrackers, and again they remade them again for 2017, 16, I guess. But I have the original one, and I just found it in the closet while I was dragging out Christmas shit.
Yeah, I got rid of it.
Off track, maybe laugh. Did you find the UN thing?
They can come in
if the mayor requests the UN. No, they cannot. Not without the United States. We're not. Look, understand something.
I'm with you.
Sorry, Fuzz. I'm gonna bitch at you, dude. You go look. You cannot. Fuzz Fork. Fuzzy, I love you, buddy. But let me tell you, you can. I don't give a shit if Rahm Emanuel fucking asks God to come in. He ain't coming in without the fucking federal government's permission. You understand that?
Again, they might try, but we'll see what happens if they try.
Oh yeah, and you really
it'll be a fun time.
Look, I'm talking like I don't care who's in the White House. We're not even bringing up the fucking Joker, right?
Right.
You really think the fucking Joker's going to let the guy? He wants the UN out of New York and make a hotel out of that fucking real estate, okay? So you really think he's going to let him go into Chicago? Fuck you. Okay? And don't forget, the same person that's probably asking for the UN to come in asked for the National Guard to come in. Trump said okay, then they said no. So fuck them. And
like
that
I
National
said,
Guard.
Was it you? Wait, somebody posted
that. If they called up the National Guard, they would have been fucking people from Chicago. They would have been fucking people from Cook County. They would have been fucking people from Illinois. Right? So their own citizens, they're not going out there to fucking dust people off because they don't know who the fuck they are. Right? Can you imagine if they sent UN troops into fucking Chicago? Where would they be coming from? Zimbabwe? The fuck are you talking about? It's ridiculous.
Actually, I think Fuzz is the one that shared the article that I saw is on the G+.
And let me be honest about this 100%. If you did, it would unite the people of Chicago to kill those motherfuckers. They would stop killing each other, and they would kill them, any motherfucker with a light blue helmet.
That makes good targets.
And that wouldn't be, the resistance would be, the Crips, the Bloods, MS-13, you name it, every fucking street gang up there. Right? Mexican Mafia, everybody who's up there. Right? You really think they let the fucking blue hats in? They barely let the fucking Chicago PD in. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
Ridiculous
shit. Civil rights violations, man. Come on.
Yeah.
So since we're off topic.
But hold on one second. Just because Alex Jones says something doesn't make it gospel. Okay?
No, it wasn't on Alex Jones. It wasn't on. No, it was on like a newspaper source or something.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt somebody. I wouldn't. You know what? Probably the Chicago Tribune. They like to pull that kind of shit.
Oh, you know what? Here it is. It's on YouTube now. Veritas Fox just posted it. It's on ABC7. They're out of Chicago. Your local Chicago police guy.
Yeah. So they got nothing. They got nothing. It's bullshit. It's just something to sell a fucking story.
Oh, county commissioner. That's what it was.
Thanks, a county commissioner.
Yeah.
A county commissioner. Like that person has any kind of fucking power in Chicago.
I won't put it in the external. Just so you can go. Yeah. Well, obviously he's pandering.
Walter Davis agrees with me. If that happened, the gangs would unite. It would be a real bad day. You know?
Do you really think so?
Oh, fuck yeah. Oh, in a heartbeat, dude. In a heartbeat. Look,
why would the gangs?
The only reason why the gangs fight with each other is because they have nobody else to fight against. Right? And that's just the honest. That's the honest with all humans, right? So we get real fucking tribal all the time,
so
right?
You think they would unite against a army composed of those from Tanzania and Zimbabwe?
Oh, from anywhere in the world other than, to me, it would be from any. I believe they would unite against anybody that was from anywhere else in the world other than Illinois or Indiana or Wisconsin, National Guard type shit, in to try and pacify, right? Putting guards on every corner, right? Then you'd see people go into the apartments to sling instead of fucking slinging on the corner, right? But if you put blue helmets there, right, there'll be blood in the fucking streets. I don't give a shit if they're from fucking England, right? You can throw the SAS and thinking it's fucking if they think Belfast was bad, go to fucking Chicago. Okay.
Yeah. Right on. Yeah, that's relatively good here. Obviously, he's pandering because they're saying there's no confidence in the abilities of the White House. But like I said, when Fuzz posted it, I was just like, if it just let the people of Chicago defend themselves, we wouldn't have this problem.
Yeah. And understand something. Trump wants us out of the fucking UN if he could do it, right? Same with fucking NATO. So don't think Trump would be an isolationist if he could, okay, with everything other than economics, right? And listen, he was talking about that shit on the campaign trail, right? Pissing everybody off. And in some ways it was a ploy, right? I mean, look at it. When he said he wanted to bail on NATO, especially because nobody else is paying, all of a sudden people are fucking ponying up like crazy. And that's not a news story here in the United States. But all those nations that he was pointing out and bitching about, right, not paying their fair share in fucking NATO, all of a sudden start ponying up once he's elected because they're afraid, guess what? America's going to go, fuck you. We're gonna take all our troops out of all these NATO countries and go build our wall. Fuck you.
That'd be nice. That'd be a good start.
That's what I'd like to see.
For sure.
And I'm telling you, you ain't bringing. Look, when we do have UN troops here in the United States, and what they're doing is training and observation specific to a job they're going to be doing outside of the United States. Right. So if there is a UN personnel in Chicago, they are observing because they are going to be trying to take anything that works, which nothing works in Chicago, so they shouldn't be there. Right. But they're going to take whatever works in the United States police force and use it overseas. Right.
Yeah.
And they've
been using for years.
Right. You and Saints, who's in, I think that's Saints at least. Right. You guys are armed. You guys are military, right? And you trained with some of these people here in the United States, probably out in Cali, probably in Louisiana, probably places like that, all over the fucking country, maybe even Alaska, right? All over the country, just like they send our troops all over the world to train people in their home areas.
They tried to stop some of it. They trained a bunch of people in that School of the Americas at Fort Benning.
Yeah, that was an assassination school from South America, but that's,
well, it evolved a lot more than that, though.
Yes.
They definitely modernized and grew that.
They're still doing it. It's just not the School of the Americas, blah, blah, blah. Right. They're still,
And it's expanded. Believe me, there's...
Oh, yeah.
Who do you think were the leaders of fucking ISIS? Graduates of whatever the fucking school was. So... To be 100% honest, most of the people that are fighting us in the Middle East, we trained in one of those fucking crazy-ass schools somewhere in the United States at one time or another. We're just as bad as the fucking Russians were during the fucking height of the goddamn Cold War, training people all over their fucking country to do terrorist acts. We do the same shit. And we're better at it, right? The only problem is they all fucking turn against us in the end, right?
Because they don't really like us. Yeah. Well, real quick, let me go through the chat room and see what we got in here just to give a shout out. Got Caregiver was first in here with Quasar. Brenda G joined us. Hello. Thanks for joining us. M Long 5151. Not 5150. I'm not sure the difference. Bikes and Bullets is with us. I sent you a link, Bike. Going to get in. It's on the G Plus.
Did you send Quasar one?
Yeah, I sent Quasar one too.
Good, because he was wondering if we were somebody was going to chat tonight, and I was watching a show with the kids. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So yeah, Quasar's out there. I sent him a link. Walter Davis is with us. That's everybody commenting on down. Obviously, we talked about Fuzz Forks out there. JJ McKay is with us. What's up, Liberty for All? How you doing? Talking about and 5520 Homestead. What's up? Sneaking in there under the radar.
Hey, he was in that fucked up Tony chat. It looked like he jumped in there for a second and then was gone.
Yeah. I'll send 520 a link. He hasn't talked to him in forever. Partisan Guerrilla's with us as well. And there's Tactical Tony. You can't get in on that link. iPhone glitch sends me to an empty room. Well, don't come in on your phone. Get on your computer, stupid.
Hey, you know what I do on this on the phone? Let me give some people some explanation here. I copy it, right? When the link gets sent through Messenger or however you're sending it, I then copy the link. I bounce out of whatever you sent it from. I go on to Google itself, not the Hangouts, none of that shit. And I just load it in through Google on my phone, and it works perfect. Doesn't matter where I get that. If I copy that link from, doesn't matter if I just put it on Google itself that's on my phone. Then it works every time.
Tony's having technical difficulties. It's had something to do with Firewater and Warpath. and yeah, I think that's.
Tony asked if you can call him in with the green camera. I'm not sure about that.
I don't know what the fuck that is. And man, you know what's funny? HD, I can see you when you talk, but the audience can't. Oh wait, I'm paused. That's maybe why. I've just been watching the chat, you know, because
that's what I do. I pause it so it doesn't blow up my broadband.
Yeah,
so it doesn't blow up my net thing. So 520's out there. I'll shoot you a link. 01 Crom is with us, crushing his enemies before him.
That's a killer name.
Sending out troll. 01 Crom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rebel Solutions joined us for a minute. He made a comment and then disappeared, I think. Walter Davis, back to everybody. They're having a long discussion out there. They're fired up about the UN thing in Chicago, it looks like. Talking about some reloading. I think that might all the way down. Man, they're just zipping by. And that catches me up. I believe everybody's in the chat room. Might be someone out there
5151. Did you get M-Long?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I shot Tony a link, tried to shoot Tony a link. He said no, it won't work. And I tried to shoot Nugs a link.
Well, like I said, that's the best way I can help if you guys try it. Just copy it when you get the link. You know how you press and hold on your phone, or that's how it works on my phone. I press and hold, it says copy. I say yes, copies it. I then close out all the other programs. Right. I go to my thing to make sure everything's closed. And then I open Google, put that in, bam.
Okay, well, maybe Tony will not be a Luddite, be able to figure it out. We'll see.
Hey, I am a Luddite and I was able to figure it out, so.
I didn't think anybody was more of a Luddite than me.
Proud Luddite. There's Quasar.
All right, on. Quasar with us.
Oh, and then he left.
Oh, and see you later.
I tried a different link with Tony. I think it worked. He didn't say it won't let him in.
We'll see. We'll give him a minute. But, dang, you got us off subject now. We were talking about UN and what was next.
Well, I don't know. I mean, at least in the chat room, they were all getting a little hot under the collar about the fucking UN, not understanding fully, right? Because the whole world, look, nothing in the world is simple any longer, right? It's all fucking complex. And especially when you're talking about anything that deals with the United States government. We have tentacles all over the world, and they all come back here. Right? So part of that is this training thing with the fucking UN, There is UN here. They are training here, but they're not here going to take over our fucking country. They're not going to go pull a Watertown and go banging on people's fucking doors looking for some kid scared in a boat. Just ain't happening. I mean, that's as ridiculous as them confiscating guns in the United States. Good fucking luck. It ain't happening. For all they're coming for our guns bullshit, I think we all deep down know they ain't.
Well, we'll see what happens in Hawaii. Hawaii has that letter going around.
Yeah, but it's just a letter. Look, Connecticut did something in New York with their SAFE Act. How many fucking people registered their quote-unquote assault rifles, and how many people even registered shit?
Didn't a New York assemblyman or something just pass that? Or just float that out there again that they were going to confiscate?
Yeah, and you know what? Laughed. People laughed. And come.
I mean, it was just like today or yesterday, wasn't it? Wasn't it just like recently?
Yeah, some dude up in fucking Rochester.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, look at Connecticut. Remember that big hubbubaloo about Connecticut? Oh, they're going to make you turn in all your fucking guns. Everybody's going to have to register all shit. And you know what most of the people did? Nothing. They shut the fuck up, said nothing, went about their day, went to their ranges, shot whatever the fuck they wanted, didn't do dick. You know what the cops did? Absolutely nothing. Okay, the only time they're snatching anybody's guns is when they catch you breaking one of their fucking laws, whatever they are. I just read about a lawyer getting all his weapons taken away because of a felony DUI. But dude was stupid and hit a woman cop. So the only reason why it caught my attention, that particular story, is because they're like, oh, from a lawyer, we took an arsenal, And anytime anybody says arsenal, I got to go look, see what I want, see if they got stuff that I want. Oh, those guns hopefully might be for sale sometime soon. Some auction.
Right. Well, that brings up something I just saw today. Speaking about police seizure, there's a story out of Utah today where time ago, a Utah County busted a guy who was running some type of drugs, meth or marijuana, whatever, it doesn't really matter. But they seized his Bitcoin. And if you remember what the value of Bitcoin was then, well, apparently because of this big bump up in Bitcoin, the guy, it's like $8.5 million now.
Right.
It's like, there's your perfect case and example of why they're going to crack down on that stuff, because it's so easy for people like drug dealers and stuff. So they can be like, hey, look, these nefarious people are using Bitcoin. So
they've already been saying that, dude. That narrative's been out there since fucking the Pirate Bay guy.
Well, they're going to just keep pushing it because the general public is starting to get onto Bitcoin. Like, hey, check this stuff out. But that's going to be how they kind of skew the interest of the public and try to turn them away from it. But did Quasar stay in, or did he pop back out again?
Yeah, he's in.
No, it looks like he's still in. Yeah, he's still in.
Captain Quasar, grace us with your words of wisdom.
Lieutenant Quasar.
No, you got promoted. Come on.
No more battlefield commissions, dude.
I'm the airsoft commander.
Yeah, you know what? 520 Homestead, he's like the rest of us. If we invested like $100 or $1,000 in 2010 in Bitcoin,
Oh shit, we wouldn't be on YouTube anymore.
Well, when I first found out about it, that shit was like $6 a coin.
Think about this: if we'd all done that when we first when we first were talking way back in the day, and we noticed that Bitcoin was a thing, everybody laughed, right?
It was like 80 cents a coin or something.
Shit, I remember when it was like I remember when it was under that. Okay, when this first started and it went public, and it was like 0.01 that you could buy into or whatever, or a penny of fucking Bitcoin at one point. You know,
shit, you'd be so rich you could vote Democrat, man. What are you talking about?
Shit, if this group would have gotten together and done it, we'd be so rich we'd buy YouTube and make it all a gun fucking thing,
and still have enough left over to pay off Bundy's fees of $8,000 some he owes, supposedly.
Man, there's people that cut a check right now. They'd go up there and pay that.
Yeah, we were talking about that. I mean, that would be so crowdfunded so quick.
Yeah.
But it's not about that. It's not about the money.
No, and this is the thing that I hope someday, because it's not going to be in our lifetimes, but I hope someday somebody, some entertainment fuck or whatever, looks at the Bundy story and writes that, because it really is an American hero story of the whole family. You know what I mean? Standing up to a truly oppressive government that's been fucking over the citizens for a long time, and they were finally the ones to say stop.
Yeah.
Enough.
And yeah.
You know, my family's been here before this was a fucking state. My family's been here before the government fucking called this their land. Fuck you. My cows are grazing. I'm not hurting nobody. Just because fucking, some senator wants the land to sell to the Chinese, you're not fucking taking it. And I'd rather pay my state than the fucking government. And that's what this whole thing's about. For any kind of grazing rights, they'd rather pay their state because the land actually belongs to the state. If it does, and because they're not even claiming it's their land, they're just claiming their right of grazing on it.
They just have the water and the grazing. The water and the grazing. The water's the probably bigger one.
I agree.
The water is huge, as we all have heard. Or those that don't live in the West haven't heard, whiskey's for drinking and water's for fighting.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
So it's
a
big deal
that the real story comes out and really is told. You know what I mean? But it's going to,
yeah.
The thing that bugs me the most.
Well, we know the real story's out there because it's on YouTube. It's on the Green Dragon Tavern chats. It's still there for posterity. The truth is out there. People just don't see it.
For now, buddy, I'm still getting fucking strikes that I got to fight on the Green Dragon. I'm not fucking with you, man. People don't know, to keep that fucking channel alive, I've been fighting with YouTube for fucking years, since I stopped making videos.
Yeah. Well, I copied over. I told you about. I made 2 compilation videos out of that.
Mm-hmm.
I put them up that annual. I mean, you saw me do it. You told me I could do it. But I mean, that's I don't have any strikes, so I guess maybe at least those will be up.
Well, I keep fighting them, and they keep siding with me. You know what I mean? But if I don't fight, they'll just take it. You know what I mean? They don't give a fuck. And that's what they're doing to a lot of gun channels. Is they're going back on old shit, and either reviewing it with some fucking anti-gun psychopath, or I don't know what. It's just ridiculous. I mean, damn, I can't tell you how many times I fought over that fucking goddamn Stinger thing. The Stinger video. The 100% free speech chat that Stinger did, right? The one that sent American. We talked about last.
American. That he left.
Yeah, that whole racist chat, whatever. The free speech chat, that's what I call it, right? But I fight. That's the one that constantly comes back. And I fight him. I fight him. I fight him. I just straight up tell them, look, it's a free speech thing. We're not monetized. We were never monetized, right? Never tried to make money off of this. It's a free speech thing 100%. You can watch it from the beginning to the fucking end on every single video. Knock yourselves out.
Yeah.
Right? And it was just a discussion. Okay? And I personally think it's American fucking, I think it's that dude fucking, at least every once in a while, just throws
a report up there
on there. Yeah, I really do. I think he's just.
That's crazy. That's crazy. No vendetta there at all.
Right. That's what I think.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that brings me up something I saw today. I guess channels are getting videos pulled, and because they're shout outs videos, they're now calling that spam. So there's a channel that I caught onto last couple months called Lunatic Dad. The guy that abuses, just destroys his kids' stuff. It's pretty funny. But he did a bunch of shout out videos for a bunch of channels saying, go check out these channels, like what we used to do, hey, right. Shout out to this channel, we do it at the end of every chat, shout out to channels and people and whatnot. But I guess if people had whole videos and named their videos shout outs, they were getting pulled and flagged by YouTube this week. This new 10,000 army of YouTube are going after shout out videos because they're calling it spam. It's like, are you serious?
So I guess we're all screwed on our personal channels, right?
Well, I mean, I was looking at mine. I was like, well, I haven't had any in a while. I had one like a couple weeks ago, like a shout out video, but I don't have a ton. But it's like, I mean, seriously, you can't.
Are you getting ones pulled? Do they say shout out in the
in the title? I guess it was a lot of the ones that were in the title, but also in the speech of the if the whole thing is about shout outs. Which you do every now and then, like you'll do a video just as a shout out, like, hey, the whole social network.
Yeah, if they're going back on the old ones, my personal channel is going to be fucked.
Yeah.
I guess I need to start I need to pick up a new fucking email account and start transferring my other accounts to it. I hate when they do this shit.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens because I just did that one. About 2 weeks ago, I guess, where I shouted out Quasar's video, because he did that awesome video. So I was like, that was a shout out video, but I haven't seen any movement on that one. So,
can I be honest? I was kind of pissed. I was kind of pissed that Quasar didn't even get an honorable mention in that shit. I watched that whole fucking video thinking he was going to be number one, and I was a little. And now, you know what? It's all subjective. I understand that.
Well. The dudes he picked were the One Shepherd crew in southern Missouri. I don't know if you guys are familiar with One Shepherd.
I've only heard him talk about him, and I never really paid attention. I heard Brett talk about it once.
Yeah, you know what I mean? They're like a leadership / training thing for civilians and current or new military guys in southern Missouri. It's actually pretty cheap too. It's actually not very expensive. I think it's only like $200 or $300 for the weekend. It's like was it Saints like 3 or 4 day course? Do you remember? Oh, I don't remember.
Yeah, something like that. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then they've got, I don't know, dude, they got classes running all the time up there though, but that's kind of a happy medium for people that don't want to go sign the paper and be a slave for 6 years, 8 years.
Right. They'll teach you some basics, and then they actually set you up with what's the military laser tag thing called? I forgot.
Mars,
yeah, or whatever. They actually set you up with the Mars system and shit. And you run around. Miles. That's it.
Miles. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. And you do force on force training with the Miles system. So it's actually, I would say, it's probably worth the money.
Cool.
OneShepherd.com, just to give them a shout out.
Yeah, but I was just kind of pissed. Not really pissed, because trust me, I watched the whole video. I learned a lot from it. And I watched all those. I went back and checked out those people who I didn't, and learned a lot from them. But I just thought you deserved an honorable mention. I don't know. That's me.
I did too. If you watch those videos, I guarantee you, even if you're a seasoned veteran, there's something you'll see in there that you ain't seen before. Might not be but one thing, but you'll see something.
Yeah.
The shout out guys.
Well, you did a great job, buddy. And you might. I figured maybe you missed something because he was kind of nitpicky, which is understandable. He's fucking Marine Sergeant. Goddamn. What do you expect him to be?
Well, yeah, and he just went down to those One Shepherd guys, and that's who won, the One Shepherd guys.
Yeah.
And those guys are they're nerd soldiers, so there ain't no beating them.
At least not on something like that, right?
I think Brett's a 6, E6. Take some advice from an E8. Not me, but
I don't know. I'm personally an E0, right? And so you know, I know nothing, right? And that's why I was just I actually learned a lot from all those videos, including yours, Quasar. So, and I always learn from his, right? From Brett's. Even when he's doing the camo videos, I just think they're cool, you know, because I won't wear them in the fucking woods, but I'll wear them in the fucking grocery store if they come out cheap surplus, you know, like that Fleckdar.
Hey, all that heavy weight, like them little boys that was weighing all that stuff out, carrying 100 pounds, that's great on a forced field march on the side of a road for 10, 12 miles. But, man, you talk about kicking that tail going cross country up and down hills.
Yeah. Well, let's put it this way.
I mean, it'd get where it's dangerous. You know, you'll be so tired that you start getting your damn situational awareness is gone out the window because you're trying to keep them dying, keeping your footing, you know, while you're going up through there.
Yeah, see, that's why I thank God if any situation like that happened, I'd be the guy that's driving the truck, bringing their fucking ammo up to them.
I hear you, buddy. Combat cook. You eat our meat.
The company gun is a good gig as a company gun. Yeah.
First priority is to get you your road warrior horse. You know, a motorcycle or a 4-wheeler.
No, 4-wheeler. I wouldn't never go in combat. I always, anytime I see somebody on a motorcycle saying they're going to go into combat, I'm like, you're crazy. Okay, you're nuts. On a motorcycle, 4-wheeler, yeah, I can understand. Those small ATVs, I understand. Fucking motorcycle, you're on 2 wheels, asshole. Shit can go wrong.
You had them 13-year-old with a piece of clothesline take your ass off.
And it does. Yeah. I mean, fishing line will take you out. Shit, just riding will take you out. No matter how good you are, you're eventually going to hit the ground. Right? I can't tell you how many times I have, and I rode for fucking 25 years. Rode across this country 3 times. On all 3 trips, I went down at least once.
They got them little rail buggies in there. It looks like it'd be pretty good. They got to put a 50 on top of it and not mark on the front.
4 wheels or nothing. And then I'm fine. I'll drive you everywhere, you know. But as far as walking, yeah, that shit ain't happening. Carrying 100 pounds on my back anymore. 52 years old, bad knees. You know, 4 toes on 1 foot. No, that shit ain't happening no more. Okay, those 4 toes can press a clutch. Walking 25 miles ain't happening.
Yeah, I remember that was one of the first, way back when I did that video about the get home plan, and I broke it down at the end. I'm like, if you're planning to hike 115 miles a day, you're not realistic, because ain't none of y'all fools gonna be able to do more than that.
No, you're burnt when you're in your prime, dude. You'll be beat down. Your legs will be hurt. Your feet will be hurt, and everything else when you get to the end of that 10, 15 miler.
Yeah, especially carrying any gear. You know, if it ain't my personal get home plan, right? And this is going to sound truly evil, and everybody's going to hate me for it. But
can of corn killer type shit here. Is that what we're gonna get?
If it isn't, you know. If it isn't a fucking EMP strike, right, where everything's shut down or whatever, I'm getting my ass home to my kids and my grandkids. Ain't nobody stopping me. If you got something I need, I'm fucking taking it.
The bad thing about it, Mule, everybody else out there is too. They'd be like a bunch of mad dogs.
Yeah, the only problem is I'm armed and semi-trained. So that makes me even more dangerous than a fully trained person because I will fucking shoot you. Right, even if I probably shouldn't.
I mean, that's like people talking about having 50 head of cattle. Yeah, that'll feed them for about a week. Once the horde moves through, but they'll pick up things. They'll be nothing left but the bones.
Yeah, and if it's EMP and I'm walking, I'll be home in a couple of days, depending upon where I'm at. Until I can steal a bicycle or a horse. And luckily where I live, horse is probably more likely.
I think at this point, I think it's probably safe to say it's at some point they will flip that switch off. They're gonna whether they do an EMP or fucking just turn the lights off or the kill switch, the grid down. Who knows? But I think that's their surefire way to kill a lot of people real quick, and they know that. That's what's unnerving.
Oh yeah, well, in America, chaos. That's be the biggest one. Well, yeah, in America, in Western Europe, for that matter.
Yeah, and maybe parts of Asia, but fucking Africa, the lights would flick off when they go. Okay,
it's like every other day. They have brownouts all the time.
Yeah. What's the big deal?
Yeah, your bigger cities in Europe or in Asia would have problems. I mean, they're fairly dependent. You figure Tokyo, all the Chinese, Beijing, all the other big cities. Yeah, I mean, China's got like 20 cities they got like 20 cities that are over 10 million or something crazy. They got like people everywhere.
Think of Seoul.
Those lights go out.
Seoul went dark. Fucking North Korea is dark all the time, right? Imagine if Seoul went dark. Fuck.
You also got huge concentrations: Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines. I mean, we're talking, tens of people very, very close together.
Just in the big cities, Manila. Say Singapore would be bad because there's no place to go. You can't like go out into the woods and like survive. If you're in Singapore, you're pretty stuck. Places like that would be in bad shape.
Yeah, and you know what? Large portions of America would be in bad shape. But
you make it 15 foot and get bit by 10 vipers.
Man, there'd be a bunch of the U.S. that'd be like freaking Escape from New York.
Yeah.
Getting out of a major city, any major city in the United States, would be fucking Mad Max to the max. If the world went black, say it was a solar flare that wiped out all electronics in the whole fucking planet, right? Everywhere from Alaska to fucking Australia, Well,
the thing is, I don't think that's actually possible, though, physically.
No, I don't either, right? The only way that would happen, it would have to be strategic bombs and, set off at certain point in the atmosphere to be able to cover the planet, crisscrossing EMPs. That's the only possibility.
The solar flare only hits one side at a time, and unless it was a
multiple or long one.
Yeah, if it was a long one over multiple days, then it could hit both sides, but that'd be really, really that's a serious solar flare. We've never seen anything like that. I mean, that's like epic proportions.
Well, we've seen something close to that back in the 1890s when it wiped out the telegraph.
It didn't last for days, though.
No, 2 days.
Was it a full
2 days? I believe so. I could be wrong. Somebody else can check. Don't ever take what I say
but anyway.
gospel.
Nothing in this chat is.
If it gets too powerful, it'll actually our magnetosphere. It'll push away our magnetosphere, and the sun will roast us.
Yeah, that'd be no fun, right? Talk about needing fucking SPF 1000. Right. Anyway, but I mean, other than that, I don't see any if the grid doesn't go down and it was just everybody going nuts because the government collapsed or some fucking, earthquake and California fell into the ocean and people freaked out, who the fuck knows, right? Could be anything. Then I'm getting home to my kids and my grandkids and my wife. So everybody else can go fuck themselves from that point. Boy, they're still talking about investing. They're still talking about Bitcoin too.
Yeah, they're beating up on the Bitcoin thing. They're running that dog to hunt right there.
And fucking 520 schooling people. I've been watching.
If the lights go out,
Bitcoin all night.
Much. If the power goes out, Bitcoin's pretty much done.
You bet. Gone in the digital world of unknown.
Well, it already happens, right? And as 520 was pointing out, some of those blockchains, there's times that they can break up depending upon what's going on. I was just hearing a report about that today.
They fork?
Because I know nothing about Bitcoin. And
I think
I should have fucking invested in it goddamn, 7 years ago, and I'd be.
If I bought Bitcoin, it'd be like a guy's over at his house and he had a calculator out there and I asked him about it. And he said, man, I gave like $350 for that calculator. and it's one of them kind you can get for $4 at Walmart now. But he bought it when they were freaking sky high. You know, he had to have it. So,
you're right, 520. I have no clue.
The very reason I like Bitcoin is what we were talking about a minute ago. You know, if they turn the fucking switch off, they turn the power off. How are you going to exchange that? You're not going to get
Homestead 520 saying you can print it out on paper, and I know some of these gold exchanges are taking Bitcoin for gold, and then you can get actually hard gold currency from them.
Well, that's their new thing. Yeah, Bitcoin's offering Bitcoin dollars or whatever. So, but I don't know. I'm just more of a hard asset guy myself, personally. I'd rather have silver, gold, food.
Yeah, that's me. I like toys. I like toys.
I like steel, lead, brass, you know, cordite, or whatever they make fucking gunpowder out of now.
Shiny. I like shiny.
Yeah.
I like things that go bang, things that go vroom, you know.
Yeah, I mean, 520. We're talking about that in my Bitcoin video. Like, they actually have a device that prints out your blockchain on your piece of paper so that you have it, and then it destroys any other records. So the only record is on the piece of paper. But still, when you hand that over to somebody, they have to verify that through an electronic means. They can't verify that that's a legitimate Bitcoin without entering it into a system. Correct? It's just because you write out that long ass Bitcoin chain on a piece of paper doesn't mean it's legit. That can be manipulated and forged, where they have to check it against the exchange to make sure that it's legit when you go in there.
Well, and then the very definition, like just the way Bitcoin is defined, it's a fiat currency. You know what I mean? It's not backed by anything. It's by definition, it's fiat. So, historically, fiat currencies are always subject to
correction. Fiat means by decree, that the value is set just by decree. Well, actually, Bitcoin is set by demand. So it's a little bit, it's not straight fiat, but it's very speculative. It's a speculative totally.
You mean it's not straight fiat like the American currency, right?
Right. It's not like the Federal Reserve says it's worth this much. That's a fiat where, it's decreed to be used and have this value, even though it doesn't mean it's not worth anything.
Even though it's essentially backed by nothing. I mean, technically, at least Bitcoin is backed by those blockchains.
Have intrinsic value,
Well, you can't use a Bitcoin for anything else, though. I mean, that's what makes it speculative. It's all based upon people wanting to use it. Again, this goes back to the video. The value in Bitcoin, the only thing I see is its ability to be used in exchange for something else, that somebody will accept it in exchange. That's the only value it has. So that is what it is.
Everywhere they accepted it was 2 blocks from ground zero.
The point I'm getting at, though, is it's going to be it's going to be ups and downs. You know what I mean? And you can see how the Federal Reserve and the world markets are reacting to it right now. So there's going to be a lot of people, I suspect, here real soon that are going to lose their ass.
But they open futures markets so they can gamble on it. I mean,
right?
Yeah, they see opportunity to take some money from people.
Walking through a nuclear wasteland looking for a Starbucks so I can spend my Bitcoin.
Well, and like I said in my Bitcoin video too, was the real game changer is going to be when people will give you Bitcoin for your labor. That's going to be the game changer for that if it gets adopted by anybody. Did everybody just mute yourselves, or you guys just?
Tony sent me a message. It said, "See if Nugs can call him in." I've tried. I seen him every link in the book. I can't. I've thrown every hammer I had at him. I can't get him in.
He's even got Tony, you got a wrench. You should be able to get in here on your own. Have you tried that?
Every time I go to the chat window, it won't give me the option to add anybody. It's up above it where it's got that little emoji with a plus by it. It doesn't give me that option. It's not there.
Here in this, that's weird. That never works. That never seems to work in here for some reason.
It doesn't in Tony's chat either. It didn't in the one that we all got booted out of the other night either.
Because you got to type in somebody's name and it doesn't autofill it. So if it doesn't autofill, I don't think it's not synced up right. That's a bad part of the app, I think, or whatever you want to call it. But since we have the same, pretty much everybody out there talking about Bitcoin, we'll let them talk about Bitcoin. We'll roll on here. You know, you were talking about trying to tangentially get back on topic, talk about the gear contest and everything, and the guys that get involved in that. I was thinking about the list that was supposedly developed at Bundy Ranch. I was wondering, it would be interesting to see how that, if there was 100, because they were saying there were 100 people on that list. I wonder how far down that went before it got to the militia people from Arizona in particular, or others. Like, because you figure the Bundys are all on the top. Right. Any known activists that were there, any known people, like maybe Santilli was on there, and some other people that were known activists were up there. But if you go down to 100, they had to be getting down into the militia and the people that are uniformed.
Oh, yes, sir. You know it.
You got to figure. And then you got to think of, well, how did they get their names? Because it was a short turnaround time from between when they showed up and this whole thing went down. So they didn't have much time to put that together. So they definitely had a lot of resources they had to put together to get those names.
Well, what they say when they gather information? What they say when they gather information on somebody, they can jump either 2 times or 3 times on their contacts. So they can go from the person they're going to the person they're talking to, and then everybody that person's talking to, I think.
You talking about on social media, or are you talking about like
on an investigation like that?
Oh, you mean without a warrant, or with, you know, without? Oh, is that what you're saying?
Well, they were doing it on when they were supposedly wiretapping people. They could jump 2 times legally, so they could get the suspect they were after, everybody he was talking to, and then everybody they were talking to. So they made like 3 jumps or 2 jumps.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that made that was a lot of people, dude.
That's a lot of that's.
It is.
Yeah, in this case, that would be thousands.
Yeah.
So how do they get their list down to 100? I wonder. You know, what do they use as their criteria to determine?
I don't know, but you could speculate that and put yourself in a paranoia attack.
Well, I mean, I figure Tony's on there. Actually, I don't. If they're talking about the one that was on there on the 12th, I don't think me and Tony made the list. So, but yeah, it's just interesting to see how they may have came up with that. And when you see that overhead picture, have you seen that overhead where they had the dots that were colored based upon threat level? It appears.
Oh,
have you seen that?
No, I did not see that.
Yeah, that came out. It's on the DHS Whistler Twitter page, and I think it was shown on a couple of YouTube videos. They show it. I think Miss B Stacy has it on her video where it shows that overhead representations of people standing in the wash and on the bridge and whatnot. And you know, I think that graphic had to be developed after the fact. I don't think they could have colored that in real time and tracked people from that rickety old NHP.
No, I don't think their intel doesn't flow in that fast. They got to piece it together because they're even as with their resources they still, man, that's a wild goose chase with people from all over. And
yeah, they people in some of the videos were trying to say that overhead representation was real time, and they had that was part of the kill list. Like those red dots are people that they were like, that was the targets. Like, I don't think it was that real time. Now the guy that was up on the mesa that had the scope and was aiming in on people, he probably was having his data book and marking down with his spotter, hey, here's our targets.
Absolutely.
They probably had their key targets for sure. But that overhead thing, it wasn't. That was just an NHP bird that those pictures got pulled in later and developed as part of investigation probably.
Well, they had to set up they always go after the leadership. In everything, they go after the leadership. So they probably started and came up with some kind of a rank structure and went from the top.
Well, they did say Cliven was 1, Amon was 2. It was like the Bundys were all at the top for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I'll throw another wrench into that conversation. Okay, so yeah, they had the leadership.
You got to screw it up,
right? So they had the leadership all played out and listed out, right? So I'm sure one of the secondary objectives would have been to go after the support. The support, by definition, would have been, the people gathering money out there in the internet world, on YouTube, on Facebook, they probably would have had secondary, third, and fourth levels of that.
Yeah, but that wasn't developed, and they weren't using that on the 12th. I don't think that would have been done after the fact.
Well,
yeah, they probably do have.
But we do know third was in the Dragon, so at least that third option was covered with us.
we were compromised from the get-go, right?
Don't think any organization isn't anymore. So, they proved that with the fucking Oregon thing.
I just don't think it was third option. Let's put it that
way. No, I don't either. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Did it ever come out or get publicized or released that they had one during Waco?
An insider?
And a kill list.
I think that it was a sweep of everybody. I don't think they separated. They weren't worried about a list. They were just, obviously Koresh, but I don't think that they differentiated after that.
Well, yeah. Obviously, if anybody's ever seen I'm sure you guys have seen the video to where, they just blow up that last room with everybody in it. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you don't really. To me, the kill list. I've got a little controversy here. Would it be by threat level? Because they had a threat level out there, or would it be by importance in Howard?
It obviously was importance because Cliven wasn't going to kill nobody.
Right.
Cliven was a threat. Well, he's a threat to the structure, to the man.
Well,
he's a threat to the federal government, but he's not a threat to anybody else. Him, Amon, those guys.
All right. Well, that's.
If that's the case, I was a bigger threat than.
Right.
I was been in the top 50, I would think.
Well, you and Tony, right? Fucking Tony didn't have a problem with it being interviewed for people all over the world.
No,
the National Herald Tribune had Tony in it, right? So, look, as well as I do, federal government tries to compromise, and you've already said it, they try and compromise leadership, whether it's a kill list or a compromise list, because look at how they're compromising people all the time, right? So whether it's sexual, drugs, or money, right, or threats, they will compromise you if they want to. Or they'll hold shit over your head to turn you like they did in this situation. Or they put plants in like they did in Oregon.
Or they audit you like they did Ron Paul.
Yeah. Look, the fucking federal government's afraid of nobody. This thing that's going on with Bundy, right? I hope this happens all over the country with shit, but I doubt it. I doubt this isn't going to lead to, prosecutors being open with what they're fucking doing all over the country. The prosecutors aren't going to withhold evidence all over the country like they've been doing, forever.
This isn't going to change the modus operandi of U.S. attorneys. Yeah, I don't think.
No, not at all.
It's going to be, like I said, when me and you were just in here, Mule, for everybody that missed it in the chat, this is probably just going to go to a mistrial because obviously there's been misdeeds, but they're still going to retry them and restart from scratch. Maybe with a different prosecutor, because if the prosecutor's admittedly compromised, which it looks like he is, they got to go with somebody else. But
yeah, but even if they go with somebody else, now all this evidence is in, right? So their case is just going to fall apart even if they try. It's kind of like when they were hitting on Gotti back in the day. Now, I'm not saying they're not going to pull a Gotti and continually go after him until they get him.
I think that's a given, I think that's a given. But I don't think that the case falls apart because, again, like I said, their case angle is going to continue to be no matter what the feds did illegally, outside of their scope of their duties, you cannot resist. You have to use legal means to resist, which legal to them is going through the court system. You can't physically resist a federal agent. That's their whole basis of this whole thing.
Right.
You can't push.
Well, like I said, I hope that they are compromised. I hope that if they get a jury trial, not a judge trial, that they'll be like what happened up in Oregon, that the compromising of the federal government and their deeds will show that they're not guilty, right? Standing up to them was the right thing, the American thing to do, because the federal government overreached. Because if they get a conviction of this, they will come after everybody that was standing there. Slowly but surely.
Well, they don't want to lose this one, cause man, that'll write case law, and that people will keep referencing that for the next 1,000 years.
Well, yeah, this is all about the conspiracy linking with somehow proving a conspiracy where there was none, when it was all reactionary based upon what they did.
Yeah.
Well, what was it? The FBI was going around questioning all them women, telling them they'd charge them with intent. So we can charge you with intent. Intent to do what?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember those interviews. Those ladies in North Carolina.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like early on, too. That was like in the first month after the whole thing or something.
Told them they'd charge them with intent. And all they were photographers.
I haven't thought about that in forever. Yeah, those two ladies came from North Carolina. And they tracked him down and said, "We're going to charge you with intent to."
And they didn't say into what kind of intent. They just said intent.
Right. Yeah. To shoot a picture, to take pictures. Yeah. I mean, yeah. That's bizarre right there. That was showing you what kind of intimidation was going on. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking at that like, wow, nobody's came and talked to me yet. I wonder what that's all about.
Yeah. Well, they did go and talk to Tony. And dude, with guys like us, they already know that any talking is going to get only one answer. Name, rank, serial number type shit, right? Fuck you, talk to my lawyer, right?
Well, he was screaming. He was screaming at the sheriff pretty loud, so.
Yeah, but, look, if they have a file on you, then they know more about you than you do. And they're just going to, they're not going to come at you, right, if they know they're not going to get any response or a bad response, if they don't want that bad response, right? If they want the bad response, they'll kick in your fucking door to get the bad response, right? But otherwise, they're not going to fuck with people they know it's a waste of time with.
Well, that's it too. Yeah. If you're anybody on here, if they're watching, then they've already had a psych eval done on you,
Oh, yeah. Look. And I'm not going to lie to you, it was fucking weird, and I'm not saying it was the feds, but during that time, there was a black SUV constantly in my fucking area within eyesight of my fucking house, that when my buddy would come over and we'd go off and do our little whatever, right, we'd end up seeing, now maybe it was just my paranoia at the time, and I'm not saying it wasn't, but we were doing fucking dailies on that shit? They did not like the fact that it was home base was running close to Chicago, running that shit. You know what I mean?
I think that's what it was. Too close to Chicago.
Well, out of state, right? If everything had happened just in state and nobody knew about it and it didn't spread across the United States the way it did, it wouldn't be that big of a fucking deal, right? But it did spread like a goddamn freedom bomb, across the whole nation. And they got the bigger ones. We were shit. We were nothing, right? But remember Santilli, he was fucking running almost 24/7 over there. And what they get him on? He pleads to a fucking conspiracy charge, idiot.
Yeah, he shouldn't have pled out. I don't know. I mean,
and why? Because they either had some dirt on him from something else and told him, plea on this, or we're going to nail you for this, or he ran out of fucking money.
There's a lot of talk that he was a rat, that he was informant. He turned informant. So I don't know.
It wouldn't surprise me, right? Because again, they'll have dirt on you. They'll hold you life in a fucking 5x8 cell with only seeing 1 hour of daylight a fucking day, right? They'll hold that over your head, and some people can't take it. Not everybody's as strong as fucking as Bundy, right?
Well, yeah, look, I would say there's very few as strong as them.
Yeah, it's not an easy thing to do to be a political prisoner, which is what they are.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just want to throw this out there. Was Lavoie Finicum on the list? On the kill list?
He may have been, because he was there with the rioters the day of. He showed up on the 12th, so he may have stayed on that list after the fact too.
I wonder if
it wouldn't surprise me.
I wonder if that'll family's lawsuit.
Hey, you know what? If it comes out, there maybe.
Yeah. If we can see this list, and what Roy Potter talks about, if there's two separate ones too that have to do with apostate Mormons, which I believe Lavoie would be included in on that, that's a whole other level of conspiracy.
Oh fuck yeah, man! I was hearing that fucking rep talk about some of that shit. I'm like, what the fuck?
So if now and here's. This is where it gets into, and so we're going to diverge a little bit for those in the chat room. This is getting on the real conspiracy side. So this is conjecture and just putting two and two together. Doesn't mean I believe it necessarily, but the way Mormons and the levels of the church work, along with the levels of what are those people called, the Masons, the levels of Masonry, and going into the Illuminati. That's where orders like that would come from. That's the kind of stuff they're insinuating with this.
All I know is I creeped out when I found out about how close that cave, that weird Masonic Mormon cave, was to that Malyar refuge. That's pretty creepy. I don't know if you guys know about that.
I didn't.
I remember somebody talking about it. I didn't really get much into it.
If they find those people guilty of going after Mormons, you go after somebody for a religious reason, that's terrorism.
Well,
but the thing is, it was the Mormon church that was going after him and issuing the orders is what the presumption is, though.
Well, and here's the thing. Fuck, Mormons have been militant since the beginning, right? When they finally agreed to join the United States, they started infiltrating the federal government and the military. Okay? So, yeah, if the fucking Mormon church wants you, they're going to get you. That's for sure.
So the implication is that the senior leadership of the Mormon church is going after these lower level Mormons who aren't towing the line, basically.
Right.
So if that's the case, that means that the higher levels of the Mormon church tied into the Masons and the Illuminati are running the country. Not that that's a conspiracy or nothing.
Along with the Fortune 500 corporations.
Well, what I was going off of, I may have misunderstood the guy, that senator that came on and talked about the two Mormon officers up in, I guess it was in Oregon or Washington. BLM officers said they were, I think they were Mormon and they were discriminated against. Or that's the way I understood.
Well, he was the report. The guy that made the report was talking about how even some that they were asking people if they were Mormon that were on the investigation,
right?
And yeah, but that was all down in Vegas. That was all the investigative crew and stuff.
Okay.
The Washington State rep just happened to get the report. Somehow he got that whistleblower report.
Okay.
He didn't discuss that about how he got a hold of it.
But he said he was gonna post all that online, or did post it online.
Right. Well, it's in those in the chat that missed it earlier. It's on the website. It matters how you stand.
Yep.
They've got the document there with the email, and some of it's redacted to take away some personal contact information. But other than that, it's in its whole.
Yeah. And you know what? It's not a story. That senator can go stand on the fucking front steps of the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., and nobody will give a fuck. You know? I mean, look at where we have to go hunting for information on this situation that at one point was such a national story that people thought it was going to start a civil war.
Well, that's why they don't want to talk about it, because if it was as bad as the story is now, like I mean, you're back to the trigger point, because it's like the federal government is overstepping its bounds, leaps and bounds. Like,
yeah, and in the courts that they tell us to constantly go to deal with these people about, right? So
we're back to the point of why would you comply with a federal officer who's trying to get you to do something when you believe it's outside the bounds and realm, because they're shown and proven that they can't be trusted to protect your interests. They violate your rights and potentially violate your life.
Yeah, gets to the very heart of the case, doesn't it?
So why would you comply? It doesn't make no sense.
And that's why the media is not going to cover this, because even if they, especially if they win, right, they're not going to cover none of this, because that's exactly the point, right? That's the whole point of this situation is the federal government constantly oversteps its bounds on the citizens of its own country, forgetting that they're there to work for the citizens, not the citizens are there to work for them.
Yeah.
And we won't even get into the corruption in the FBI like Fuzzfork is trying to switch us over to.
It rots from the head down.
Oh, Z, what's the chat room talking about? Z? Well, the FBI is corrupt. If they had, they've already said in that report that was a federal trained sniper that was on the case, at least one. So they put that out very, very close detail about that. So it was a federal sniper team at a minimum.
Yeah, HRT team.
No, but the trained sniper. You said he very specifically said in that document a federally trained sniper. So there's a difference between a guy with a rifle and a scope and a sniper. I know you know
for sure, and you especially know.
So it's just.
I'm a guy with a rifle and a scope. You're a sniper. There's a big fucking difference between you and I, my friend.
Oh, and that's a good point they brought up in the chat. They're talking about Leon Haruchi that shot Vicky Weaver. That's the type of scumbags that you got to worry about.
Well, it seems like they're all fiddled through the FBI. Again, thank God I'm one of the millions of people who helped send the Joker to fucking Washington to expose this shit. Now, they're not exposing it from the Bundy end, right? But even though they are a little bit with this document, but all the crazy shit that's going on in Washington that they're using to distract us from whatever else is going on, it is showing that the FBI is rotten to the core at this point.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And if the fucking fibbies are rotten to the core, and everybody knows the fucking DEA is, right? Weren't they the ones that robbed the Bitcoin from somebody? Whole shitload of them.
The DEA robbed somebody?
Yeah, some bunch of DEA agents. Go look back about a year, maybe they robbed some Bitcoin off of somebody.
Hey, if the mama dogs got mange, most of the time all the puppies got mange too.
Damn right.
That's all I can say about the corruption. If the mama dog got mange, the puppies got it too.
Well, yeah, it's like we've talked about for years. It's like just because you have a change in administration, you have the same people that've been in the same job for 20 plus years. They ain't changing. They ain't changing their mentality. They're not changing their agenda. They're keeping on keeping on.
But the nice thing is they're being exposed, right? When you think about it, except for us tinfoil hat motherfuckers like the four of us here, right? Nobody and Alex Jones, right? Nobody talked deep state. Nobody talked deep state until it exposed itself, constantly going after Trump, right? We wouldn't be talking about fibby corruption if it wasn't for them fucking being exposed, right? Not through the Bundy trial, but through them trying to nail Trump at all means necessary.
Yeah. Yeah, that story about the FBI officer texting about trying to have some how did they word it? Basically some documents to hold against Trump.
Yeah.
As a Trump card, basically as a Trump card, no pun intended.
Well, it's funny. More of it's being exposed. That was just the first little bit, of light, the first little LED, right? That 1,000 points of light. To quote fucking George I, right? And that was just the first one. More are coming out. This is the problem with all these fucking, there's so many. The corruption is so deep that the second it's like a Jenga board. The second you pull that right block, it's all come crumbling down. It exposes it.
All them people under them, all the guys that were under them knew what was going on. They work around them. It wouldn't. They compartmentalized it to a certain extent, but the little cabal they had working in the office area, I guarantee you every one of them knew what was going on.
Are you talking about the Bundy thing or the Trump thing?
No, the corruption deal in the FBI.
Oh, the Trump side?
But it's all the same. It's all the same, HD. It's just, look.
Oh, there's tied in. I agree. I'm just saying, yeah.
The Bundy thing's the micro version of it, right? And they're keeping that shit very quiet, but they can't keep quiet the macro versus Trump version of it.
I don't know that the Bundy thing is smaller. I think the Bundy thing involves more FBI people than the Hillary thing.
It's bigger. It's bigger than what is being seen right now.
They use FBI all over the country to do parts of this investigation.
I think if the Bundy thing really breaks open and some fucking reporter from the libtard side comes up and exposes all this shit, it will go deeper. It'll go through the whole FBI because they were checking out everybody all over the country, especially people that actually went. You know what I mean? If you came from other states, then they checked you out for sure. Right? So, yeah, it's all got to get exposed. And I think the Bundy is bigger than the fucking Russian probe stupid shit. Right? But the people ain't going to see it unless we go looking for it. Everybody's going to see the shit that comes out of the, against Trump because Trump's going to tweet that shit every day, 3 times a day.
Yeah. Well, I can tweet it, but nobody reads my tweets, so.
Right. But you know what? 1 million people read it and 10 million people hate his guts and read it from somebody else's link just to shit on it. So.
Tony used to read your tweets, but he got banned.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. The only follower that did anything is gone.
With a name like Die Commie Scum, hashtag Die Commie Scum, yeah, you clock sticking.
It was only a matter of time, right? Yeah, for sure. He said he was going to drop in here in a few minutes. He was getting on a computer, so he should be popping in here shortly.
The reason why all those governors roll over, money. It all comes down to fucking the almighty dollar and power, right? Why do all these governors roll over for the fucking fibbies to come in and do fucked up shit that they know they're not allowed to be doing? Why? Because they have billions in road money, billions in this money coming, billions in that money coming, billions in these grants coming. That's why they let the fibbies come in and do whatever the fuck they want. Because that shit'll stop.
It's all backed by money now. That's the biggest problem we have. Federal funding is destroying this country. But everybody begs for it every chance they get.
Well, I mean, perfect example is these billionaires from, these Bloomberg and amongst the other ones, Soros, and they're without borders. They don't believe in borders. They're funding this shit along with the monarchies and the Fortune 500 corporations. It's almost like they've aligned themselves for one goal, and that goal is to take down the American middle class.
Well, their goal is
that's how communism is implemented. Communism takes away the classes. That's the way it works.
And what's the one obstacle that's stopping the New World Order from being implemented worldwide? It's the existence of the American middle class.
Let me throw a turd in the punch bowl. Wait till Obama gets elected as president of the UN and orders UN troops to come into the U.S.
Good luck with that.
It is a possibility. I mean,
what did you say?
Who make comments about that? They actually make comments about that. They really do want us to implement the UN Small Arms Treaty, which you guys over my cold dead fucking hands. But
Obama loving on everybody at the UN wanting to be installed as Secretary General of the UN or whatever.
Well, I'll tell you this.
Really? They're going to make him Secretary General?
I don't know, but somebody was entertaining that idea that he was moving to, he was going to try to get a position in the UN.
Yeah,
it's got a Nobel Prize.
It's in his memoirs or some shit, or in one of his books that he wants. That's one of his goals.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me say this, guys, that if he did that, right, and tried to send troops like you said originally to the United States, I can't see the Texas National Guard not bombing the shit out of them, right? People forget that, look, it just wouldn't work. Like our government trying to take guns from us, another government coming in, man, come on. I mean, you know, let's make some sense here. That you don't understand the American spirit at all if you think that's a possibility.
You don't think Feinstein would work with them to bring them in?
I think it would be like earlier when we were talking about the blue helmets heading into Chicago. It's not going to happen. Why? Because all you would do would be to unite the United States against the common enemy, and they would and we the people, along with any serving military that are here in the United States, would say fuck that. Right. Yeah. Now, I don't know what would happen overseas, right? Who knows, right? Maybe those home countries would surround the bases and, you know, wipe those poor bastards out that are overseas. Who knows?
The thing you got to worry about. You got to worry about the scenario that they create a crisis bad enough to where people would accept it. That's what you got to be aware of, because there's some people, Americans, who would be like, at least somebody is here to help us. If you've got most American military deployed, it's bad enough. Accepting the UN in would be something that a portion of the Americans would be like, hey, they're here to help.
Yeah, those same traitors bastards out of New York and fucking Boston and all those fucking major cities.
Chicago.
But the major crisis would have to be like we said, the EMP or fucking California quakes off into the fucking Pacific. It'd have to be that level.
Right.
You know what I mean?
They already got 33,000 drones over our head. You know what I mean? Militarized drones. So, you know, they got the air superiority already set in place. I don't know, man. It's looking like they're setting the chessboard up for some kind of, like, whatever it's going to be, World War III or total chaos. It's going to happen here. The next, you know, Carrington event is going to be here in this country.
I can't say no. You know, I don't know, right? What's up, Tone? I don't know. You know, nice hat. I saw you were showing that shit off. Is that your ship?
Oh, I was showing the jacket off, bro.
Man, he got in. I can't believe it. Holy cow.
Yeah,
he's had that jacket for like 2 months. He's still showing it off.
Yeah, that's my boat.
I couldn't see the jacket. It camouflaged into the wall.
Dude. Damn. Hella fucking, my dad just gave me something and I lost it. Motherfucker, dude.
Well, mute yourself. You're talking about losing your stuff. We're talking about important stuff here.
No, I had something cool to show you guys, and it's not on me. Never.
Right.
That's the way Tony do.
Tony, Quasar brings some good stuff.
I really don't see a disaster big enough to bring in. I mean, we've had some pretty fucking big disasters. It would really have to be so monumental to bring in foreign fucking troops to help the United States. I mean, it would really either have to be a nuclear event or an earthquake that, you know, just devastated half the country or some shit, or an EMP that knocked out all the electronics in the continental U.S.
It brings up another idea in my head. So what's with all the news about China and Russia building bunkers and protection for their civilians for in case of a nuclear or biological chemical event, but yet we're sitting fucking ducks?
Well, because they're worried about they're smarter than us and are worrying about North Korea, because it turns out North Korea has not only been doing nuke, they've also been doing biological.
Yeah,
right?
well,
so they're afraid that nut job down there is going to piss off Trump, because they're afraid of Trump too, right?
Yeah.
So they think that if he pisses off Trump enough, or that, you know, Trump and him start throwing real shit, metal, right, at each other, we're going to win. But that's going to bring China in, and then it's goodbye, right? Just fuck it. All those scenarios that we thought of as a kid, Cold War shit. Well, there you go.
Yeah, fly over and spray everybody with jungle rot, and then cause a major pandemic, and then have to have the UN come in and vaccinate everybody.
The thing is I read a lot of neoconservative information, and they've always had the strategy is we're going to absorb a first strike. That's in their doctrine.
Yes.
That's where I'm kind of leaning from, coming from, is the fact that they're setting the chessboard to where we're going to absorb a first strike. They're going to trigger it over there in North Korea or Iran, which, by the way, is just another stepping stones in project for a new American century that laid out in 1999 that everybody seems to be oblivious about. Trump is actually helping that his foreign policy is completely neoconservative. Although I agree with some of the other shit he's doing, I do not agree with his foreign policy. He's following the neoconservative agenda, leading us to eventually World War III with China and Russia. And we will absorb a first strike. They have not changed the military doctrine is to absorb a first strike. So
you do know that that military doctrine was true the second the Russians got a fucking bomb, right? They knew that the United States was going to have to absorb that first strike, and then we do. That's what MAD is about, mutual assured destruction. We'll take that first hit. Kansas, fucking New York, we don't give a shit. We'll take it. 400 million people in this country. We'll take it. And then we're going to fuck you up. Right? And the problem with the North Korea thing is it's not just North Korea. So the second anything happens, everybody starts shooting off, right? You got India going to be blowing up Pakistan, which is already a fucking powder keg, and everybody's still wondering, praying the fucking nukes are there in Pak, right? Praying that unless there's American watching the Pakistani nuclear bombs, we don't know what the fuck's going on, right? But they're going to shoot them off at India for sure, right? Israel's going to hit Iran. Don't doubt it. So it's just going to go apeshit. And then we get the Mad Max scenario that we all don't really want. But you'll get to test your preps.
Well, think about it. If it goes, they'll drop some devastating bombs, but the EMP is the cheap way to knock everything out. And they'll do it just like they did the bombing raids in Vietnam. They'll set one off, and it'll burn up what it can. And if you try to get anything out, they'll set another one off in 2 to 8 hours and get everything else.
See, my thinking is what they're doing is they're going to set up an event that's going to take out most of the people that believe in what it is to be an American. They're going to try to take that away from us by just killing a shitload of us and causing as much chaos and destruction to the ideology and mythos that was America and Americana. You know what I'm saying? They're setting the stage for our exit.
Well, at least in my opinion, Quasar, I don't think you can ever truly kill this idea because it's gone worldwide. But you may be able to devastate us for sure. But you're never going to.
Yeah, I agree. They're not going to be able to fucking. We're dug in. We'll be dug in deeper than the Vietnamese. I mean,
well, no, it's not even that.
I'm going to take it all out.
I'm going to go higher than that, right? The idea of America, the principles of America will never die because we've proven they can work, right? It just takes the people's effort to be able to do it.
Even number 10.
Us, they won't be able to destroy the idea of it, right? They'll never be able to burn it out of my heart, your heart, anybody's heart in this panel that's listening on fucking YouTube. But love you too, baby. But they may be able to destroy our bodies, but they're never going to be able to destroy our, the idea of it. Just like we'll never be able to kill Muslims, right? You can kill 99.9% of the fucking Muslims in the goddamn world, and if you don't kill them all, the idea is going to still be there, and then it's going to grow again. Like a malignant cancer. And in a way, so is the idea of freedom and America and Americana. We're like a malignant cancer, right? Once we get in a spot, we can grow. Now, we fucked that shit up by being evil and corrupt as a government, but the idea is still there. That's why you have people like, say, Fabrizio or Lone Patriot, right, that come here because of the idea, not because of the actuality of America. And they chase that American ideology and dream from all over the fucking world, right? So you're never going to kill that. You may kill us, but luckily, that fucking idea will live forever. Tactical Tony showing his old shirts. Shit, dude, how many years have you had those?
I don't know. What year are we in?
All I can say is Lieutenant Nugs, you number 10.
Dinky Dow,
you number 10, Lieutenant Nugs.
We're walking.
What's up, HD? What I miss, man? I can't get in on the iPhone. It just sends you to an empty room.
That's why you don't have a junky ass iPhone.
No, it's just an iPhone glitch. I know.
No, you missed it all, Tony. We talked about everything. We talked about where you are on the list and how you rank against everybody else, and
where would I be? What'd you guys say?
You were number 38, Tony.
No, did you see Roy Potter's video today where he talked about 2 different lists?
I seen that he was I don't know. I saw something about they wanted to kill Mormons specifically.
Right. I guess there's a separate list that was developed afterwards, potentially.
Yeah, you weren't on that one. You were on the first one, buddy. See all that fucking standing on the bridge, showing the 702 tattoo, talking to fucking International Herald Tribune. Yeah, I put your ass right on that fucking list.
Dude, did you see the video I played the other night, HD? And I was all, I got long sleeves so they can't see my.
Oh, right. Yeah, the first time you went out there.
Dude, I was so naive. I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, you were talking about that.
That's the first time I've ever been in an FBI sting, though, bro. I've never.
I think that's a first for most of us. You know, most of us haven't been involved in something like that.
It ain't that big of a deal, dude. Don't worry about it. Happens all the time.
Mule's experienced more than we are. Yeah, we talked about that and just the whole thing's going to shake out. I was kind of supposing that I think it's going to be a mistrial. I think they're going to come back and try to retry him here in February or something, do a new jury and restart it. I don't think they're going to get a dismissal. That's just me. You know, it's just kind of they're going to try to get him because they can't just let him go. The feds can't let this go. So that's just my supposition.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. The way everybody's coming off, especially Ammon and them, is like they know like it's a wrap. Like that's the way I feel about the way.
Well, I think the thing they need to think about is that the feds are the biggest thing is the feds are going to admit that, oh yeah, our guys screwed up and they were bad, and you know they've been released, they've been let go.
But they'll blame it on the past administration. That's what I was thinking.
Well, they're going to say that nothing the Fed agents do excuses physical resistance. That's going to be their line, and that's been their line in the other cases as well. They will always come back to you cannot physically resist a federal agent, who whether or not he's in the wrong or not. That's what they're going to say. Is you always have to bow down and comply and take legal means and take legal matters instead of standing up for your rights. That's going to be their angle, and that's.
Well, no, I hope there's going to be some. I hope one of the lawyers. I don't know if it's possible to bring in some of that case law, like in Indiana, right? So if a cop comes kicking in your door and it's the wrong fucking door and you smoke them,
that's not a federal agent, though.
No, well, it is a federal agent in Indiana. If a federal agent kicks in your fucking door and you smoke them, the state ain't going to charge you, right? No, I don't know what the feds are going to do.
Yeah, right. Your feds are, some animals are more equal than others. You read Animal Farm.
Oh yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Yeah. But I hope that those lawyers, because it sounds like the Bundys got a bunch of smart guys, right? So I'm hoping they have a fucking bag of tricks full of shit like that.
Yeah, I mean that's what Eamon talked about on that radio show today.
Oh yeah, I didn't hear it.
Anybody's just joining us, there was a Kate Daly radio show today where Eamon did an interview, and he talked about just how they've been trying to get this discovery of evidence, to reveal this stuff that obviously Eamon and Clive knew because they lived it, but they couldn't get the evidence to back it up, and this helped bring this stuff out that they've been withholding evidence this whole time. So they've been working towards.
That's why I think I also agree with you. Where if they do go for a mistrial, right, then it's gonna chill out, right? They'll release Clive in, they'll release whoever else is involved in this. They got other trials scheduled. They might even just keep them there and redo the whole fucking prosecution on them too, right? Whoever else is up next. But
those first guys,
like you said, they're going to come back in a year or two, right? When everything's calmed down and nobody's fucking looking, and they'll come back and retry them.
Well, that first trial they had with those guys, they had 3 mistrials.
Yeah, the 2 mistrials, and then they barely got a conviction.
They barely got out of that. That's right.
The 2 charges they got on those 2 guys. That was it.
Bro, I was commenting on the fact of how much weight Ammon lost. That is crazy, dude. I can remember.
Prison's hard time. That tells you a lot right there. I mean, ranching's hard work, but you eat good when you go home to mama.
Yeah.
Prison doesn't have mama's cooking.
His face especially, like it's almost, dude, he looks like, I mean, his face looks like he's like half the size as he was when he went in.
And that's what scares me about what's going on with Cliven, right? That motherfucker's 70 now, right? Or close to it.
He's older than that. He's 76 or something.
Okay, even better, man. That's what makes me worry, because like you said, HD, man, prison ain't for, look, first of all, prison ain't a country club like everybody thinks. And I'm sure they didn't put them in, the softcore. So they're eating fucking, phony loaf all day.
They've been in isolation a large portion of the time.
Yeah.
And how about the toughness of old Cliven, man? Being offered to be released and telling them to go fuck themselves, basically.
Dude, he's my hero. I'll tell you 100%, man. That dude's my hero since I first heard about it. And he's done nothing to dissuade me from that. It just makes me, I'm not a person worshiper, but if I was, he'd be up there. You know what I mean?
Dude, he needs to do about 20 hours of fucking video logs. You know what I mean? Just to fucking.
To me, it's not. It's not.
Tony went out and talked to him like 4 times, man. Tony filmed talking to him. Tony hung out with him, ate at his fucking table. Met his wife, his grandkids, his kids, the whole fucking 9 yards. The man was, a true American. Not just by being a cowboy.
I text HD probably 2 months ago, and I had just left Cliven's house, and Carol invited me in. I knocked on the door. She wasn't there. I went and had some lunch. I came back, knocked on her door. She invited me in, and I sat on the couch, and we BS'd for a good little while, and they're still the same people they were the day that I showed up, They're still the same people when I got my truck all stuck.
I believe it, man. I 100% believe that.
And I mean, to me, what's wrong with looking up or however people feel about Cliven? Because think about it, I hear most talk about quarterback so-and-so and defensive end so-and-so, this, that, and the other. And I'm like, dude, nah, man. I look up to this guy dude, I only wish I could be, at some point in my life, be somewhere in Cliven's realm or Lavoie. To me, Lavoie is a total badass mofo above most fools. You know what I mean? Lavoie is walking the walk, talking the talk, like how it's supposed to be done,
Did.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Those are people, dude. I don't think there's anything wrong with looking up to them. I'm obviously, I guess, younger, and I still look up to certain people.
Well, Tony, there's a difference between looking up to somebody and taking their example and, trying to use the good parts of it into your life, right? And worshiping somebody, right? And there's a lot of people worshiping this country. You bring it up when you talk about, there's people that worship fucking Colin Kaepernick, right? When they should be, if you're going to worship somebody like Cliven Bundy, even though he's no fucking saint. He's another human being. He's just one that's trying to walk whatever he talked, So I agree where he should be the person that you try and emulate, right? But I don't think we should worship anybody. And I think that's a big problem in this country is this fucking people worshiping, right? From entertainers to politics.
Well, that's a good point. You want to emulate their actions and doing the right thing. And that's where I think the biggest thing about Ron Paul people that I had is they still focus on Ron Paul instead of the message. It's all about the message. You can say that he walked the walk for years. Yeah. And you want to walk, emulate that and walk the walk, but you have to go towards the message. The messenger is not the issue. He was pretty good about deflecting the attention from himself, but some of the people that are basically followers, for lack of a better term, just always they'll never be another Ron Paul. Well, it's not about Ron Paul, It's not about Cliven, This court case is, but the bigger picture, the bigger message is not about him. And it's Dwight Hammond said it the day before he went to jail. This is not about me. This is about this country. He laid it out there right in the middle of 5-degree weather.
Well, you remember when we were actually in early Dragon, HD, right? When we were pulling in fucking sometimes 3,000 people listening when we were talking. You remember too, Tony. we fucking constantly had to bring that shit up, that don't be worshiping, because people were like, oh, you guys are the greatest, blah, 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 you know? And it was like, no, don't be doing that shit, because that's not the way real life works. And when you do, you turn off your individuality. You turn off your personhood by hero worshiping somebody too hard. You know, like you bring up Ron Paul. Ron Paul is just a man. He had a great message. It's all about the message, not the messenger. Right? Even Christ said that. It was about his message, not the messenger.
I think it's natural, though. People that, I don't know, people naturally look up to people, and I think there's obviously a difference between looking up to and worshiping, but I think naturally people like are not leaders, right? So they pick out people that they perceive to be leaders or whatever. And I think like with Cliven, his obviously the message resonates with everybody, but at the same time, he's like this figure, like he actually is doing the shit, and not getting out when he could be out is just a perfect example. You know what I mean? Like that takes some balls that like a lot of people ain't gonna have. You know, they're gonna say, I mean, look, people are taking felonies to get out of prison. You know what I mean? I'll take a felony and waive the prison time. Cliven's just gonna get on pretrial release, and he's like, fuck that. So I mean, dude, I think it's just natural to like have respect or have whatever you want to call it for the.
That's where true leaders come from, not wanting to be leaders. You know, most of them, not all of them. You can't say that about all of them, but you can say that about a lot of American leaders. They're more reluctant, the good ones, right? And I don't think Cliven ever wanted to be the leader of a fucking movement. You know, it's just that he was so tired of getting his neck stepped on and watching people fall around him, because you know better than I do, right, about how half that town was bought out by corporations. A lot of those fucking ranches that were all around there either got snatched up by the government, and the government sold the land, or were waiting for the Bundy block to sell the whole land to the fucking Chinese for all the fuck I know, right? Because mainly of the water rights. And probably there's oil under there that nobody knew about because it's a little deeper than they used to be able to find, which would not surprise me.
I know they tell you to lead by example. And that old man set a hell of an example.
Yeah, but he's a reluctant leader. You know, I don't think he wanted any of this. I think he just wanted to raise his goddamn cows and his grandchildren and his children and his great-grandchildren until, he gets to go see God.
Yeah, and I agree, but like people can look to people for somebody to set like say my goal is be like one of these guys, because dude, where I'm at.
That should be, Tone. That should be. Look, you should try and implement into any example that you see as a good one, implementing and not worshiping, but seeing their example and trying to follow it is not a bad thing, right? I mean, in some ways, that's where morals come from, right? That's where morals come from. Because children are not.
It's just natural. I just
think about this.
To get to the bigger point, I think as America as a whole, we have a problem with hero worship, and a lot of that has to do with people discredit their own abilities and think that other people have better, like the other people are infallible, whereas you always see your own imperfections. That's easy. You see your parents' imperfections. You've always seen that. But when you see this hero worship go on, or these people are a higher level, it's like they treat them as a higher level of being. You see it you talk about sports people. General Mattis, gets treated like that. I mean,
what do you think about
Fuller got treated like that? It's like you get put on a pedestal, even though they're just people, and people do it to Ron Paul, like we said. But people need to understand that everybody's fallible. That's why you always got to focus on the message, because at some point somebody's going to have dirt on them brought up, and you're going to be disappointed.
Case in point. Case in point.
You're always going to be disappointed.
Case in point, FBI. Everybody it's FBI, it's FBI. Look at the crap. Look where they pulled out a septic tank.
How do you? That's an organization, but yeah, I mean, even the Marine Corps is held up as like a good example. Like, but when you have guys throwing puppies off cliffs in Afghanistan, it discredits the organization because it's not living up to the standard. But people will always do it.
Look at the scandal the greenie beanies are going to be facing because it turns out they've been ripping off a lot of shit over in fucking Afghanistan and Iraq when they're supposed to be giving millions to these fucking warlords. It's turning out that they're cutting it in half.
Thought it was the SEALs.
It's both.
The SEALs are strangling people in their sleep.
Yeah, the SEALs were last week, right? This week it's the greenie beanies. I just seen a fucking expose.
Well, I was gonna say though, what do you think, HD, about the Bundys? Like, as far as, do you think people do the same thing with the Bundys, or do you think people hero worship the Bundys? I mean, do you think that
there's a certain that does that thinks that? I mean, like Blaine Cooper, he probably held Bundy up like that. That's why he went so hardcore. You know, because they saw something that they didn't think they could be themselves. You know.
What if you just want to roll with the team though? Like, what if you just want to roll with the team? Like, you look at it that way. Like, you kind of don't want to miss out on the action. More like so they move, you're rolling too. I mean,
an opportunity to something like that. But
is that the same thing?
When you look at his background, it seemed to be more of he's latching on to that hero figure that. You know, instead of, I mean, this goes back to some of our previous discussions. This has to be a leaderless movement in a lot of ways. Yeah, you have to take pieces of the best parts, but everybody has to be their own leader.
That's right.
And
hi, Sly, fucker. Sly Tiger's out there cracking me up. Sorry,
I just caught that too. Okay, Sly, thanks for joining us. You guys have been chatting up about everything, and he throws that in. But people, this has got to be a leaderless movement. Everybody has to learn to be your own. You know, do your best for yourself, because the ideals are what matters, not the people, the individuals. So, I don't know.
Yeah,
at the same time, how many moments is there for you to seize in life? Like, how many Bundy events are going to be in your lifetime, in our lifetime? You know what I mean? So, like,
you're far between.
Well, no, I know, but you want to be there, right? You want to fucking be there. If
I wanted to, I wanted to. Remember, that's part of the reason. I mean, the only reason why the Dragon got to go is because you and HD took us there, even though we all wanted to go.
I know, but does that turn you into?
No, see, the reason why I wanted to go. Okay, I'm going to tell you what, Tony. Let me tell you. Let me finish one thing, and then I'll shut up for a while, right? Because I talk too much anyway. But no, I wasn't. The thing that I wanted to follow, the thing that made me so trying to get my ass to Vegas, right, was the following the idea, the principles of what they were standing up for. I didn't know the fucking Bundys from Adam, and you know, as far as I knew, they were crazy cowboys, right? I didn't fucking know. I'll be honest, right? But the thing that they were standing up for, I think that's what brought the people there. It had nothing to do with the individual. Nobody knew fucking Cliven Bundy and Ammon. I mean, come on. Everybody that first saw, what's the one with that got kicked in the face, right? When they first saw him, it was, you know, whatever, right? So, look, we weren't, nobody who who truly are following, like, at least in my opinion, the Bundy thing, are hero worshipers. We're idea worshipers. The very idea of America is so deeply ingrained, right, that when we see an individual and a family like the Bundys being stepped on, these rugged individualists that have been dragging it out of the land their whole life, it fired up a lot of Americans because of the idea, not because of the person.
I think it was more that than the Constitution or anything like that being violated. Yeah, the people that understand the Constitution were on their way, but I think what resonated with the bigger crowd was the fact that these fools are being violated out in the middle of nowhere.
Hey, 520. No, I needed money. It wasn't a ride. I'd have fucking drove there my goddamn self if I had the gas money.
We know Justin Woolley would have stopped by and picked you up. Don't worry.
Oh, hell yeah. In his mom's car. Shit. He'd have buried me somewhere out in fucking Nebraska. Are you kidding? Or I would have buried him. One or the other.
Oh, man.
Hey, DMX, y'all would have run into Vegas like fucking Dumb and Dumber and shit, stuck to each other.
Oh, fuck yeah. But anyway, the reality of it was about principle.
There's a separate issue because the hero worship happened after the event, Tony. You know, like tagging on to Cliven and his, leadership and his example, and the hero worship part came after the event was over. The event itself, being there, was all about either the constitutional issues or seeing the violations and just wanting to go help somebody that was in trouble,
So which are kind of both, right? Because the only reason why you're seeing that the Bundys needed help was because of constitutional violations.
So you would say that the Bundy or the standoff in Bunkerville was what catapulted freaking Cliven more or less and made him that cult status or whatever.
Yes, of course.
He was a nobody before that, obviously.
And then Oregon, Oregon took 10 steps back because I feel like half the people were on board and half the people on board.
And I can say yes to both.
No, I don't think because Cliven wasn't in Oregon. I mean, he was flying for something separate later, but that didn't diminish him because it was still about the principle of constitutional government and individual, states' rights and everything. The issue was still the same. The message was still the same.
Do you feel different about the Oregon deal now that they beat the case? Do you still?
No, because I've always said it was tactically a bad move. That's the biggest thing. If you'll listen to me that night, let's go back and replay what that chat that night.
Oh, let's don't.
Tactically, he don't want a fight starting, right?
Let's relive the destruction.
I really wanted to know what HT thinks 2 years later.
Okay, well, shut up for a second. Again, I go back to what I said. It was tactically a stupid move, and I'm not going to put myself out there when we didn't know what we were getting into and what reason. Because, again, when Eamon got up there that afternoon in the middle of 5-degree weather in Oregon, he had the hardest dudes he was going to be able to talk to. And he put a very vague message. They didn't say we didn't know Lavoie was there. We didn't know anything. It was like, we're going to go out here in the middle of the snow and make a hard stand. It was very vague and didn't make any sense. It had nothing to do with the Hammonds. And we were all there for the Hammonds. And we had just seen Dwight Hammond tell everybody, thanks for coming, but we're going to fight this fight. We're going to do what we think is right on their end. That's why everybody was there. And then Eamon gets up and makes his speech, which is totally off the rails.
Yeah, I remember that, man. I remember I remember we had two views of it, you and Rebel, and everybody on the panel. You guys were shocked. We were all fucking shocked. What the fuck is this guy talking about? And then everything went sideways. So I'm on HD's side. I think Oregon was a bad idea. I don't know if it diminished anything, but funny thing
to me, they beat it. They beat it, and people.
A lot of people don't know that. That the media, by their not covering any of this after the incidents themselves, a lot of people do not know that the federal government lost on that and that they beat it.
Right. But again, it goes back to, if they want to do a protest out there at a federal building, that's all well and good. But to ask guys to go out there and make a defensive position in the snow like that was foolish. And that's what it seemed like they were asking. I wouldn't do that.
Not to mention politically, they had won. If you go back to when they all showed up at the Hammonds' house, the Hammonds came outside and they thanked everybody for showing up, but they respectfully asked everybody to back off, you know what I mean, and not pursue it. They had already won. They had won. They had brought a shitload of attention, and they probably could have proceeded with that way. You know what I'm saying? Instead of progressing to, like you said, to going to the refuge and taking that over.
A couple things like that was lost in the whole thing in the very beginning is nobody even in here on this whole panel knows how much I respect HD, because me and HD were where we were, and when that shit was going down, I wasn't trying to be like motherfucking 10 feet away from his ass, and anything he would have told me to be doing, that's what the fuck I would have been doing. So there's no.
Hey, Tony,
do some push-ups.
Listen though,
Tony, hold on 1 minute. Hold on 1 minute. Don't say nobody. Don't say nobody. I know how much he means to you, and I was so fucking glad when he drove his ass down from Reno to meet your ass, parked on the side of a fucking road. Okay, so yeah,
no,
some of us do know.
So what gets lost 2 years ago though is I would never like second guess what HD says or anything like that.
Right.
The thing that, you know, things went different is people, I don't know, everybody I guess maybe is looking for this perfect situation for some fucking, I guess maybe military guy to stand up and then present
no Tony
situation. But hold on, these guys, you know, we were out there and everything, and I know me and HD pretty much know as far as like fucking, you know, any type of military movements, right? They don't know shit. They're fucking well versed in the Constitution through and through, but as far as making it some type of tactically sound decision by these ranchers, it was not ever going to happen. You know what I mean? And
well, Tony, remember, most of, you know, I believe that we're going to find out that that whole Oregon thing was all directed by, if we ever get to see some of those court documents, right? And I think with part of the shit that's coming out now on the Bundys, I think more will blow out of fucking the Oregon thing, right? That was all an FBI operation from the fucking gate. They were playing the fucking Bundys from the gate on that shit. That's why it went so sideways, the Hammond Ranch, right? Because they were getting whispers in their ears by all these fucking players who were working for the goddamn feds. And that's the way the feds do. And, right? The feds love that shit.
I've had, like I said, a couple years to digest this. I take all that into account.
Tony, think about this. How far has the movement, Tony, think about this. If they didn't go to Oregon and do Oregon, do you think that let's say the freedom movement would be even bigger now? Or do you think that the Oregon thing turned off a lot of people because it was nobody understood it? Period.
No, I don't.
Right? Anybody outside of that tight little circle of guys did not get it. Most of the ones that did were the ones that said, I like that guy. I'm going to follow whatever the hell he did or judgment he made to do this. So I'm going to back him. Even though even though it may be the wrong thing to do, I don't care because I like him. And the rest of us are going, wait a second, this is the wrong move. It's a bad move actually for the movement. I don't give a fuck about you. I cared about the movement, about freedom spreading across, right? So where people remembered those guys on horses with American flags standing up for this small rancher, instead of it getting warped into that shit that happened in Oregon. It went from standing up for those guys to going and fucking, taking land. It just turned out, look, I'm talking from a PR point of view from 2,000 miles away. Bad PR move. It turned off a lot of people, right, who don't want to even now hear shit. When they hear Bundy, they think bad shit. All because of Oregon, not because of Nevada. But it's because of Oregon, not because of Nevada.
I think all the shit
that Bundy because of Oregon, not Nevada, man. I'm telling you.
That happened. All the shit that happened for a reason. All right. Without the events that played out, we ain't here. We are not where we are right now. Okay.
No, where we would be.
The movement didn't get turned off. Some people don't agree with the decision or whatever, but Lavoie getting killed, I don't know about you, but that only took my stand.
No, I am not going to talk about Lavoie, okay? I'll be straight up with you. I love you, brother, but I'm not going to fucking talk about Lavoie because we will argue like we did then and now. Look, I'm not going to disrespect the dead. He made his decision, whether I agree with it or not. He did it. He stood up. He lived. He died. I respect him for that. I don't think his decision to get out and draw fire was the smart one. I don't think his decision to drive away from the police fucking federal stop was a smart one.
No, fuck all that.
Or whatever. Now, listen, we start.
Yeah, we should change the subject because fuck all that.
Yeah. So look, and do I think he was assassinated? Yes. I think they fucking assassinated him. And I think he made himself an easy target when he stepped out. I think they assassinated him. Look, I don't think they should have killed him. I don't think they had a fucking reason to kill him. I do not. I've seen him fucking watch people crash, pull him out, and lock him up. Just like they could have done with him. So, yes, I agree with you.
They did with suicide bombers in New York City. They arrested them.
Yeah. So, you know, I'm not saying they didn't assassinate Lavoie.
Somebody even maybe, I don't know, in the future
this is what I'm saying.
I want to take, hold on, Mule. They're going to say, I want to take a hard stand, or they'll use some other verbiage, right? Somebody in the future is going to do the same thing that's not tactically sound that a lot of people aren't.
No shit, man. I know Oklahoma, right? I lived through Oklahoma.
Hold on. It's not only about the tactical. It has to be on sound. I guess moral may be a wrong word for it, but it has to be on sound footing. There was nothing about Malheur that was controversial. There was nothing like there were plenty of places you could stand and make a hard stand and justify it, like Lavoie's Ranch or like Lavoie's Raisin Rights. There were things worth standing for, no doubt. And me and Reb said it. If Dwight Hammond had to come out there and said, "I'm not going to jail," that would have been a whole different thing.
He went that day.
That would have been a whole different thing.
Well, what do you think about this, HD? You know, pretty much the Bundys, everything that they have said has been proven true since all this shit's coming out, right? So what Ammon had said all through all those weeks that he was up there talking with the Hammonds is that basically the Hammonds were telling him, hey, we are not even allowed to talk to you. Even if we wanted help, we couldn't fucking tell you we want help. And that's the message Ammon was conveying.
All right.
Ammon hasn't been proven to be a liar at all. So if Ammon is saying, hey, this is what's really going on, and that's why Ammon, you know, got the way he got, you know,
well, they may have been threatening with like additional jail time or something.
I agree with you. There's that other side. You know what I mean? I agree with you. I mean, it's 2 years.
There's another side, but dang, why would you go out in the middle of nowhere in the snow and think that's the place to do it?
I mean, maybe because the right guys that always talk about they'll fucking stand up and make a hard stand, the guys that probably should be making, you know, a way better decision all the way around, those guys ain't gonna do that because they're too busy making fucking coffee commercials and showing off the fucking new EOTech on their gun. I mean, I don't know, you know.
Look, I understand those feelings.
Don't doubt it. Close, sir.
Don't doubt it. 100% understand the feelings, brother, and you know. You know I do, right?
It's always just been frustration, dude. That's all this 5 years has been.
But that's part of life. It's a long-term game. Look, that was part of getting the vote out and try and get shit changed with Trump, right? So you got to try and do it the right way so that we would never have to go to guns.
Yeah, but
right?
Him. He's not
listen,
guy. I'm not a
like HD said. Look, if they'd have picked a different place, they'd have picked some place that meant something. That I don't know. I still don't know. Can't pronounce the fucking name of the place. Right? Couldn't point it out on a map. Where it happened.
What happens though, Mule? Say we're just
the thing is, you gotta remember it's a PR issue and we don't have the power of the media.
Right.
We have very little social media input. We have this really small footprint. You have to be able to galvanize a very strong message, and it's hard to do that when you go and make something about something that it wasn't about. And that's what happened. It was diverting the message, and really, it confused everybody, even people that wanted to support them. Which I would say, me and those of us that were there, really like, hey, yeah, we were with you on a lot of issues, but this doesn't make any sense. What are you doing? You know, and then you hear they go off.
you have to think that the goddamn fake Marines he had around him too. You had all these motherfuckers that came to.
Well, that's what I'm saying, Tone. That's where
Cliven, and they came to Ammon, and we sat out there and talked to the motherfucker, and he told us this and he told us that. These motherfuckers came to Cliven and Ammon and said, "I'm so and so, such and such. This is my military experience, and I'm gonna lead the motherfucking way." You know what I mean? So you gotta take that kind of stuff into account.
Oh, I'm not degrading Ammon. I'm not saying that.
1,000%. Dude, I have no animosity.
That was bad. It was a bad character judgment, no doubt, because I know some of the other guys that were there, other than the guys that are like big players, and that's one of the reasons we didn't go. Like, that dude's there. There's no way I'm going in there. That's like, for one, he's probably going to say that I'm something that I'm not and cause a big ruckus. And like, dude, if they're like allowing those type of people in there, like there's no accountability, there's no screening, there's no quality control. So it's not a good deal.
It's thoroughly infiltrated, dude. You can bet your bottom dollar if you go somewhere and there's 50 different people there, somebody and it's been publicized, there'll be somebody in there that's a rat.
But there weren't 50 people. There were only 13 at the time.
So there was, Tony, listen, and I said it earlier before you came into the chat when we were talking about some of this. There were, like we're saying now, there were rats in that ship, right? And like HD saying there were 13, so there was at least one Judas,
but that's
right? You know,
to it all. That's the obstacle to it all, because your number one dude has to be squared away, right? So he can vet everybody else. But if your only concern, or like one of your biggest concerns, is everybody in this group could be, trying to infiltrate it, and they knew that, it's like you just
I don't think here's
fake patriots and snitches.
I'm gonna tell you something, and I don't find it a flaw in Ammon's character, but it is a thing, right? So he likes people. He wanted to trust those people because he wanted to believe that those people believed the same things and the same ideals of freedom as he did. You understand? So he is, and I'm not going to disparage him for that, right? Because you really can't, because that's being a good human being trying to. He didn't do.
Yeah, but that's church folk too. That's church
exactly
folk all the way around.
That's not church folk. I know that's church folk.
Well, I know, but they believe that people are better than they are, even if they aren't.
Yeah, I just think, hey, it's a good lessons learned thing. We all learn our lessons. Going in the chat room, I want to hit this real quick because JJ brings up some good points. There was some information that came out of the occupation and the documents they found. The thing is, that wasn't a known agenda by anybody but the key people. So, you can go in there and find your documents without, 100 people going to assist you. But he didn't. That wasn't revealed until days and days after. Nobody knew anything about that. Nobody understood the agenda until days and days after. And again, you see the compromised position, like it's not the hill to die on. That's, it didn't, and it still doesn't appear that way. Things worked out the way they did. Some things happened. It's a small skirmish in the bigger battle. So let it hang, and it is what it is. So
we all ended up still being friends, man. So
it's not Dunkirk, but it's not Stalingrad, but it's had significance, and it has use, and it has a lot of things we can learn from it, and mistakes that were made, either in messaging and PR or in organization, and in any of it. You can take it all and digest it, and hey, we'll move forward. I mean, how do you reveal the government's sins without doing something like that? It would be hard to reveal the government's misdeeds without doing something like that, but it's hard to get people to follow you that are, by our nature, we're very untrustworthy. We're not very trusting people, right, Mule? How many people do you trust?
Yeah.
Nobody. So it's hard to get good, hard pipe hitting people. you're going to have to be upfront with them and level with them, or you're not going to get that support, which they didn't to a physical degree. Like spiritually and message wise, yes, we're with you, but doing that was not something you're going to get a lot of people to join in on. So lessons learned.
But at the same time, you fucking take your chances where you can. You know, he felt
he was willing to make that chance for himself. To expect a bunch of other people, like I said, it wasn't clear and we weren't doing it.
Hey, I don't want to roll on myself either, HD. I ain't gonna lie.
I remember Rebel saying, "Hey, Rebel told you, you want to go? Pack your bag and start driving." Till then, no, I mean it's just one of those things. It doesn't. You can't. People when they are doing some good things, but it just doesn't make sense to make a hill to die on at certain points.
Well, and here's the thing about the records that came out, JJ, right? So we know some records came out of it. We know there actually was a little bit of good that came out of Lavoie's sacrifice, right? And that's what he did. He sacrificed himself for the cause. I'm not going to take that away from him. You know, even though I might not think he did it in the smartest way, I'm not going to take it away from him, right? And I respect him for that. But that Uranium One stuff, right? It still doesn't matter. Now, if those records become exposed when the FBI re-investigates what they've already investigated, then maybe it'll matter, right? Down the road a piece. And hopefully it does. I solidly hope it does, because then it makes Lavoie's sacrifice a little more understanding, you know? But other than that, the way that's cover-ups, the way the government's been covering up their own shit for so fucking long, right? It's good luck, you know? And we got, luckily, maybe it'll happen because now we know more about Uranium One than we ever did, right? So hopefully their records will be exposed and the sacrifice that they made will be exposed.
But I mean, I get the comments all the time on all my videos on my page and everything that, you know, all the time people talk that they're so fed up, they're, you know, XYZ, and you see people put their own ideas out about how they would start it or whatever you want to call it.
We were at that point at one time, Tony. Remember? I mean, there were drunk nights in the Dragon. We talked shit like that.
Yeah, but you got people that put it out there and they do this and they that and do that. But my only point to the whole thing is nothing's perfect. Everything that somebody says, it's just their version of how they would do it. And Ammon went out there and he sought out or tried to make his own version of how he would have started whatever you want to call it. I'm not going to.
Like HD said, look, to us, right? We just to people, we believe that if they would have chose a different hill, they would have had everybody behind him, right? If they would have shifted from, like, say, Bundy to Lavoie, because that actually makes like sense of a shift. You know what I'm saying? If they would have taken the headway they had made with the Bundy Ranch, right, and the federal government backing down there, right? If they would have shifted the attention from there, which was tried, remember? That's how we found out about Lavoie. That's how we started watching his videos and finding out federal government stealing his water and stopping his fucking cattle from grazing on land he owned.
Yeah, I just think that there was like event after event. There was a couple events after Bunkerville, and you know, I don't know, dude. I'm not in Ammon's head, but like I said, lots of people talk about how they would, you know, like, dude, it's enough is enough. This is what I need. This is how I want to get it done. You know what I mean? So everybody would look at a lot of these people's opinions as they ain't dying on the right hill. A lot of, you know what I mean? Think about how many ideas there are.
A lot of people thought that Bunkerville wasn't the right hill, right? Tone, a lot of people thought Bunkerville wasn't the right hill, right? But more people thought it did, right? Because it was this individual family that were fighting the federal government, and the federal government was being a bully, right? And the same shift could have been shifted, like I said, to Lavoie, because it was a mirror of the situation, right? Whereas the one in Oregon, which I can never pronounce, that thing, right, wasn't. Yeah, but that wasn't right. No, it would have been. It would have been if the Hammonds would have said, like HD pointed out, if the Hammonds would have come out and said, "Thank you for coming. Thank you for making the stand. We're not going anywhere. We believe that we're being held unjustly and being asked to surrender unjustly." That hill would have flown, right?
And you know, like when all that stuff went down, people were either on the go boat or they were on the no. So that what did that do? That put a line right down, you know, our panel. That put a line right down.
No. What put a line down the panel was exactly what, right? So HD and Reb went up there, remember? Right? And we were all watching, you know, talking to them, right? Seeing what the hell was going on, watching all the video that they were pushing. And like I said, everything was good until that shift. Right.
Yeah. And I'm not even saying that it was okay for us to go at each other like that. All I'm saying is
hey, look, it's always okay.
That's the kind of shit that happens when something like, dude, that was huge. Like for them to be up there and all this shit going down, that was huge. So for something like that, you know, emotions get high. So, you know, it's
just like, look, it's all water under the bridge. And it's actually good to be able to talk about it now, right? Even if we still don't agree.
We talked about it a million times since then.
Right. But even if we still don't agree, it's still good to talk about it now, right? Because we have our opinions, whether we agree or not, and being able to air them out this is why the Dragon was born. This is why any of us, you know, do chats anymore, is because we miss that shit where you could just be talking about any opinion you have, whether people agree with it or not. If they disagree, it's actually better because then you can have a back and forth about it, right? Now, I disagree with you about the Oregon situation, and I think it could have gone a lot differently.
Exactly, but like I said,
that doesn't change the fact that you're my friend. I respect your opinion. I'm going to listen to it, even if I fucking disagree with it and don't goddamn like it. And I will stand at your back so you can say it to my goddamn death and bring along the little army I'm building in my family.
and I, like I said a little while ago, like, dude, it wasn't even that I doubted HD. You know what I mean? It was like the emotions are high or whatever. Motherfuckers are like, you know, like, dude, they felt like let's get it on a long time ago. So everybody needed to know, like, when, oh, you're disrespecting each other, but whatever. No, hell no, dude. Like me and HD we were out there where we were, and fucking for him to be up there and doing the thing that he was doing up in Oregon. I mean, fuck, dude, I wish I could have been there. I was so fucking upset. It's probably a good thing I wasn't there. But for sure, the farthest thing,
100%.
The farthest thing from whatever is that I didn't, you know, respect HD and his opinion. You know what I mean? I can disagree with HD. You know what I mean? He tell me right now I could fucking don't have to follow a motherfucker off a cliff, but you know, I mean, there's nobody I respect more. So there was a lot of like people thinking something else, but yeah, we've all remained friends and there ain't nothing but respect, especially for fucking HD, because that motherfucker was out there. He was legit. So,
well, he showed us exactly.
Bro, he brought me camis, bro.
That's legit.
Hey, okay. Hey, Tone, remember that hero worship thing?
Somebody the camouflage. That'd be stupid, wouldn't it? I'm camouflaged. That guy's not.
Hey, Tone.
Yeah.
Remember that hero worship we were talking about?
I don't give a fuck. HD's the man. You don't even know, bro. HD is, when they say that nigga, that's HD. You just don't even
but I still can't get him to sleep outside, Mule. I'm still working on that.
Well, remember, he's Navy.
But
so he's used to something a little different, HD.
Yeah, fuck you, Mule.
Hey, we're all in the same service. We're sea services. We're all together.
We're both Department of the Navy.
Yeah, I know.
All right, there you go.
I don't know if the Marines like hot bunking with the Navy, so.
Hey, my best bros were Marines because fucking everybody in the Navy was a snitch, dude. Real tough. Swear to God. You go out and fucking commit murder at night, and the Marines are like, I ain't saying nothing tomorrow.
Okay, so let me ask you guys a question. Because it is Vegas, it's got me a wondering. Totally off topic, different topic, 100%, right? And they're kind of bringing it up a little bit in, well, something that triggered me, right, in the chat. So do you think that the fucking feds are like controlling most metropolitan police departments at this point, at one point, in one form or another? Because the shit that's gone on in Vegas with this fucking shooting and the blackout of information and the lies and changing of information and the feds being involved, FBI being involved the whole way, do you think that we really just totally given up any kind of, or not willingly, but totally just don't have any states' rights any longer, really?
Pretty much. Fed money's bought everything out. Fed city police aren't going to do anything about the feds. They get paid off. It's almost all Fed dollars. They don't have any allegiance to the state anymore, or to their city. Examples, Vegas being a good one, as the feds are now in charge of that, even though they haven't told anybody about it. And the was it Baltimore? The Baltimore case where they shut the town down and with FBI guys. It wasn't like they had all city guys going door to door. They had feds going in door to door. Everybody got shot. Like a prime case of overreaction and how the feds have their fingers in everything. I don't know if there's more than that. I mean, the feds are a cancer. They're like the Stasi.
When they were searching for that fucking kid from the Boston bombing, right? Everybody thought that was National Guard or fucking SWAT teams. No, most of that was all feds and contractors. People don't understand there was a lot of contractors filtered in there too. So,
bro, try arguing with somebody that believes in stop and frisk. Oh my God, you want to bang your face into a brick wall? Seriously, dude. I'm talking for our safety. Right? Oh my God.
Dude. Well, that's 100%. Dude, look, I still laugh at people, right? Because why the fuck do you think I moved out of New York? I'd rather have the New York I grew up with where it was the wild, wild west, right? Hookers on one corner, fucking dope on another corner.
You can't just be profiled and frisked because you live in the city. That is like, I mean,
Stasi? I think it was brought up already.
What's worse? What's worse, the door-to-door or when you go out in the street you get searched? I mean, I don't know what's worse.
Well, it's combined, right? It's combined, isn't it?
Is there a difference? It's the same thing.
It's combined. Same thing.
They're both terrible. I mean, that Watertown stuff still blows my mind, and the Baltimore stuff currently too. Like, don't come knocking on my door. Like, seriously, I'll call you if I need you. You're like the fire department when I need you.
People gave up their rights too easy, man. They just stood out of the way and let, oh sure, come on in. Yeah, well, at least all of them I saw did. I didn't see anybody say, no, I don't think you gonna come in here without no warrant, talking to them through a security door.
But that's happening more and more. Like if there's any type of event around you, like say, I mean, Boston bombing or something smaller. I mean, Boston bombing, I guess, was pretty big, but any type of whatever, they put neighborhoods on lockdown. I don't know if they do it where you're at, but they put the whole neighborhoods on lockdown, and they don't lift the lockdown until they find whoever they're looking for. You know what I mean? They fly the helicopters. They fly the helicopters insanely low, and they just patrol neighborhoods. And I mean, like it's definitely militarized, and people are used to it. Nobody makes a stink about it. Remember 5 years ago when we were making videos about the fucking Blackhawks flying through the sky and this, that, and the other?
Yeah.
Normal now.
Well, a lot of that stuff, like Mark's, I mean, Bikes and Bullets said out there, that's DHS. They got all new toys, all new MRAPs, all new helicopters with the latest and greatest high-speed, low-drag FLIR and all that on them, you know, and yeah, it's all paid for taxpayer dollars.
We used to make a stink about all this shit and even the door-to-door stuff, and now the door-to-door stuff is almost like expected. Like, you know, they're going to
come. Tone, okay, so we like you said, Tone, like you said, we used to make a stink about it, right? And we could still make a stink about it now. Nobody's fucking listening.
Yeah, nobody's listening. Trust them.
They didn't listen then, they ain't listening now, right? We got less people now than we did then.
14 people. There's 14 people listening.
I'm gonna share it.
And you know what? Everybody in the chat, I am super happy that at least 14 people are listening.
I'm gonna bump it up. I'm gonna share it right now. Hold on a second. I totally forgot to share it.
You know, but here's the thing, man.
Tony,
you know,
bring all the trolls in.
No, hell no. That wasn't me. That was motherfucking Chad.
Hey, let me throw this out to you.
I love
all
Chad.
Earlier.
Oh, hell no. That wasn't me. I love Chad, but damn, Chad.
Well, he brings the people, right? But hey, so think about this for a minute. All this equipment these cops are getting. I mean, if you know cops, most of them ain't trained to use any of this shit. It's all whiz bang shit to them anyway, right? So do you think that you and your people, if you have any, would then go steal the shit from the cops? Because I'll tell you, anyway, I'll leave it alone. I'll just ask that question. If shit goes sideways, you're going to go rob the cops of their MRAPs, ARs, fucking night vision, all their shit.
My ideas don't got nothing.
Because except for a few guys that may have been ex-mil and are trained SWAT, most of them who have all this equipment are going to give it up.
Well,
look, I watch the cops around me leave their fucking cars running, right, with their trunks up as they're walking away to go deal with a cup of coffee or some shit where it's out of their line of sight in a fucking parking lot.
Well, when it gets down to that, they'll be traveling in convoys like they do over in the desert. They won't be traveling singles with 2 police cars behind them, you know.
But even then,
deep around here.
But at least around me, I mean, except when they're traveling through cornfields, there's plenty of choke points. You know what I mean? It's always. I mean, how do guerrillas arm themselves?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Once they start taking out the single, somebody figures out how to disable a single, they'll start running in convoys.
Yeah. And from what I understand, MRAPs aren't that hard to tip over. So. Or light on fire, by the way.
Just in case you're taking notes.
Oh, fuck yeah, man. And then I'm passing them on to my kids, you know, passing them on to people I know that are paying attention.
They can go back and watch the video later, catch anything they miss.
But, you know, I've always been one to preach, you know, keep your people small, right? Because there is going to be, if you get too big, somebody's going to notice and somebody's going to want in, right? And the federal government's going to want to look at you, make sure about you, talk to you. Maybe not with you knowing.
That's that leaderless resistance that HD's talking about. Leaderless, you know, everybody's a leader. Everybody's a leader out there. Everybody gets
but like Tony said, most people are followers, man. Most people ain't leaders. They're fucking sheep that are going to follow.
Well, you got to instill that in them. You got to instill that in them. Put that in their head, just like they're putting in gun control in everybody else's head.
Yeah. Well, you're definitely fighting the system with that, right? Because there's so many sheep out there, waking them the fuck up and getting them to follow. You know, it's hard.
I tell everybody, all these boys, I tell every one of them, you're all small unit leaders. Everybody there's a small unit leader.
Look, I got a Christmas present.
Well, you try. But how do you train a sheep to be a wolf?
Well,
or a sheepdog?
Well, you can't.
Look, you start feeding them steak.
They have to transition.
You gotta start.
You have to make them a.
You gotta start throwing dirt in their eyes when they're young.
Hey, that part was for me, right? The ass kickings as a kid, the shit that turned me into a predator or into a wolf that pays attention, right? Was all the shit I had to go through growing up in a city that was a wild, wild west, right? The 70s and the 80s, you know, it wasn't Nazi Germany like it is now in New York with cops on every corner, right? It was actually a fucking scary place at times, right?
Hell
when you're watching people, you know, we were the murder capital, right? We were the fucking murder capital of New York, of the world at that time.
Dude,
they covered tons of shit up.
That's when they had the Peep Show in Times Square.
Dude, that's when they had cops running fucking dope from Queens to fucking the Bronx. They had the fucking NYPD delivery service rolling. You know, it was a fucking crazy time, right?
Yeah, the thing about you talk about making a sheep a wolf or a sheepdog, you got to sheepdog before you train them. You can't train a sheep, so you got to transition them first. I would want to make that very clear.
Well, how do you do that? And can we get a group of transitionals? Because, you know, people transitioning into fucking, you know, furries now. So can we get people, you know, some kind of transitional?
Did you say Furbies? Did you say people are transitioning into Furbies?
Yeah.
Hey, dude, people are transitioning into everything but what they're supposed to be.
Right. So, you know, fuck.
It's like you're at school, you're at work, or you're transitioning. You know, it's like if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, you're transitioning into something.
Right, but you know, I mean, just look, I love it.
Transformer.
I'm telling you. But how do you transition them? How do you wake them up? I mean, we've been screaming at the world for years, right? Going out, going to protest, going to fucking, you guys went to important shit, right? But how do we transition people? We've been trying to wake them up. The only way I know how is face to face. And that's the only way I know how to keep anything secure, right? Is face to fucking face.
But you got to figure you're only going to be able to 10 if you're lucky. So don't think that the odds are not in your favor.
How are you supposed to reason with people on fucking Xanax and fucking Adderall and every?
Oh, brother, you can throw the towel in on that one.
Yeah, how are you supposed to be?
They're chemically neutered. You can forget that. They done took the wolf, the dog, and everything else it resembles of.
I mean, they give fools vaccines, they give little kids vaccines, and they end up fucking retarded, you know? I'm not meaning that in a disrespectful way. I'm just using point blank and being point blank about it. They give them fucking vaccines, kids end up retarded. If the kids survive the vaccines, they fucking say something else is wrong with them later, put them on dope, and then, I mean, they grow up that way, and you're going to try to reason with them when they become adults? I mean, come on, man.
Trying. Well, listen, I'll tell you something. You want to know the fight it was to raise my kids without having them on that shit?
And the whole time the teachers and everybody and your counselors are telling you, your child needs this.
Dude, preaching to the fucking choir. If I didn't have
nobody takes their kids out anymore, does shit like push them off the barn and stuff like that. If you'll take them when they're fairly young, you know, got a lot of energy to start looking at little girls and give them a taste of adrenaline, you know, let them get kind of addicted on that. They'll push themselves then, you know, and the next thing you know, you turn around and got some kind of a ramp built fixing to launch something out into the lake, you know, you got to give them that little bit of thrill seeker in them. And dude, you can't, when you got all that dope in you, your thrills is gone.
Hey, I speak from experience, bro. Whoever volunteered to talk to the fucking school counselor, you know, at my kid's school, and my son talked because he's just fucking a little badass in class, so he has to have something wrong at home because he's just a little badass, you know what I mean? and ends up talking to the counselor or whatever. Then he ends up fucking having to go somewhere. Then CPS gets involved because somebody at school that didn't have permission to talk to my son, and they talked to my daughter. They had, you know what I mean? You have people interviewing and talking to my children, trying to fucking diagnose my children or whatever, my son, you know what I mean? Not my daughter, but still they talked to my daughter about what's going on at the house. They interrogated my children at their school, and then came to my house and went in. They had to look in my fucking house, make sure I'm doing what I'm like, the fuck? You know what I mean? So if you ain't
I've had it happen, Tone. I've had it happen. Okay. I've had similar shit. I've had that same shit.
Supposed to raise your kids without them either doping them up or them coming in your fucking house, you know?
It's a fight.
Deal with that shit. I mean, that shit is crazy.
You do have to deal with it. It's a fight. Look, it's something that you make a conscious choice or you become a fucking neutered sheep yourself.
Well, you know what it is? It's a public school shit. If you can get your kid out of the public school, you probably save yourself 75% of the headache. Seriously. But if you can't homeschool, if you're in a situation where you can't homeschool, I can't. I wish I could. You know, then you got this mess on your plate, and it's every day, dude. It's every fucking day.
Yeah, dude. I am so glad that, and believe me, it sucked when I was raising my kids. It was a fucking fight, right? But I am so glad I am not going to be raising kids right now, because this transitioning from snowflake to some kind of reality.
You are. You are raising kids, Mule. You got Jerry right there. It ain't like...
Yeah, but you know, I'm helping, right? I'm helping, and believe me, I'm going to be the one, just like I was with my kids, filling their fucking mind with the real history of the United States, good and bad, right? Not just the fucking horrible white man shit. You know, and it's not easy for the kid either. Believe me. My kids, it's not easy for them not being these fucking snowflake millennials when all their friends are, when most of the people they know are, and they have a fucking work ethic, and they have they understand more about what's going on in the United States than your average fucking 23, 24, 20, 16-year-old, right? And so it makes it hard on them because their friends are like, what the fuck are you talking about? Sorry, HD.
Those are bad friends. Any new friends. It's tough,
but
though.
You know what? Trying to find a woke ass, a truly woke ass millennial is hard.
Well,
very few and far between.
Yeah, to anybody, teenager.
Hey, you know me, I'm a millennial.
Yeah.
Look, half my kids' friends won't even come near me no more.
Well, fucking, you know,
especially the LGBT.
Yeah, especially you look like a scary ass Santa. I wouldn't come near.
No, look, they used to sit in my office and pass the bong around with me. I'd, whatever, right? They're all adults, all good, right? But I must be, because look, all the LGBT friends they have, they're still friends of theirs, and I still don't give a shit what their lifestyle is. But they just can't deal with me because they hate that I'm right on most shit, which is probably the main reason that they stay. And the fact that I tell the truth no matter what. I tell my truth, and if I'm wrong, I admit it. And I even tell you about my fucking flaws, right? I'm very upfront about them. So that way you see exactly what you get, so you don't try and worship anybody, right? So, and they don't like that. They don't like reality. They like their fucking phone.
Circle back around on the hero worship thing with that one. Like you said, you think kids nowadays really have a hero worship on problems with the other side? Like all these millennials are looking up to, I don't know what you'd call them, supposed heroes the same way, you think?
Yeah, man.
It's a problem.
These millennials were fucked over in school. They weren't taught shit. Right? They have a lot of them, especially those fucking dumbass white kids that went to college and fucking thinking that that was going to be the savior, right? These middle-class white kids were chasing a dream that was false, right? You have to go to fucking college to be a success. And so they go to college and all they're getting done is fed fucking this liberal bullshit from all these motherfuckers that couldn't work in the real world, right? So then they have to change the real world because when they go out there, they got zero fucking skills to function in the real world. And when they are forced to it, they don't like it. What the fuck do you think anybody ever talked about minimum wage until these fucking millennials found out that's what they had to work for coming out of college with this much debt they carried? No. You know, these fucking kids are not being set up to live real life.
Right.
And when they have to, it shocks them and they want to cry. That's why we call them fucking snowflakes. They want to go to these safe spaces. And the fucking colleges are teaching them that. You know, I shared the other day, I know a lot of people don't do Facebook anymore, but that's pretty much the only place I do, even though they fucking block all my shit now. You know, but I shared the other day about this thing that was on a college, on a board in MIT, honors fucking goddamn dorm. And they were using fucking Care Bear shit to show you sensitivity training.
To like explain things. Yeah. Everything's dumbed down. You do see that a lot. Like things that was when we were growing up, like college kids, like seriously? Nobody's growing up anymore. Well, it's like the whole thing, insurance until 25 or 26 or shoot, maybe 30 now. I don't know. It's
I think it's more 30.
Everybody's a child. You're infantile.
Exactly.
Yeah,
they want
you're
to extend
infantile
to 30. Right? Like you're a fucking graduate student somewhere, you know, working on your 4th degree.
And then it's too late to develop into a mature adult. You know, you're past that point.
No,
it's too late.
Not true. No, that's not true. That's not true. Okay, because I'll tell you how I know. I've seen a lot of dudes come out of the joint that spent the same kind, that ended up in the same kind of thing, right? And they had zero social skills, were not able to deal with society, but finally learned to, and became mature adults that were actually mature, functioning members of society.
There's a difference between there's a difference thing between being dysfunctional and being an adult. I mean, you can be a dysfunctional adult, but at least you're still an adult.
Yeah,
you know,
they don't even want to. That's why I get.
You're getting treated like an adult. About me? Are you guys talking about me right now?
No.
No, we're not talking about you.
No, we're talking about your fucking.
You're talking about a dysfunctional adult.
Think about when everybody was in elementary school, like they are now. If you had, I mean, like the little kids that's with the identity crisis. It's, you know, the little boys wearing the makeup and all stuff. Man, we'd been a screwed up bunch, and those are still kids, you know. But and wearing dresses and all this weird crap to school. Holy cow! What kind of screwed up mess will we have been? Hell, that'd give you PTSD.
Hey, Saint.
Yes, sir.
Do you guys have Sadie Hawkins? We had that, right? So there was that one day where everybody went out and you had crazy fun.
Sadie Hawkins Day, yes, sir.
And you dressed up. Right. Yep. But everybody knew it wasn't like the right thing to do.
No, that's the reason they did it. Do it one time a year and get out of your system.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Well, remember something, Saint. So, you know,
if it's your system, I was like always embarrassed. Like, I hate this.
Yeah, I never participated. They had a Sadie Hawkins, and I was like, "Fuck you."
Yeah, that was an Appalachian thing, I think.
Well, I did spend a little time up in the Catskills, and for the white people, that's still the Appalachians. For the Jews, it's the Catskills.
Later, 520.
Take it easy, 520.
Is Sly Tiger still out there? Sadie Hawkins. I bet you Sly Tiger at Sadie Hawkins where he grew up.
Yeah,
but
listen, remember something else.
City, wasn't he?
Saint,
yes,
I want to bring up one
was
point.
on the boon.
In grade school, usually around second or third grade, they would bring a cop in and teach firearm safety. Right? If it wasn't taught at home, they made sure that shit was covered young in grade school. Now, maybe I'm the last generation that saw that in New York fucking City, right, where it was a positive thing. but gun safety involved, right?
Yeah, we had the FFA. Everybody had to take the hunter safety course to get through that Future Farmers of America.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Is it was when we grew up, it was a totally different vibe. These kids are being taught to change their gender, or that gender fluid is okay, right? While we were taught to be, hey, don't walk under a ladder, don't shove a knife in a fucking electric socket. We were taught shit that made sense. If you want to nail two boards together, this is the way you do it. If you want to make milk into fucking, cheese or something, this is the way you do it. 2 + 2 = 4. Here's how you structure a sentence. Here's our history of the United States of America. They don't learn none of this shit no more.
But the responsibility level, kids would come to high school with a shotgun rack in the back.
Yeah.
People would get in fights. You wouldn't go out to your truck and pull your weapon out of your truck and go
after
anybody. That didn't happen. People were responsible enough, and they knew they'd be held accountable. Nowadays, none of the kids aren't.
That's right.
You can't expect them to act like adults, or even attempt to.
Well, because their parents never raised them that way. Their school teaches them to continue to be infantile through fucking 100 years of goddamn school or whatever, right? But then if they have, look, your kid's not going to end up that way. My kids aren't ending up that way. Tony, if he raises his kids right and doesn't get so tired of fighting the system, which he won't, he'll just come and bitch at us about it. But he's going to raise his kids right, and they're going to be, but these are going to be the ones that will raise their kids right, hopefully, right? It's got to start there. And then we try and break the chains with these kids that are out there that aren't ours, right? But that's again, that's where they broke these chains, breaking up the family, the government, doing away with morality, killing God in whatever form, right?
Well, and also it's telling little kids whatever they want to be. It's not what your parents tell you are, or what you've been told you are. You make up what you are now.
Yeah.
3-way, transformer, attack helicopter. You're not a man or a woman. You're not going to be anybody else. You can be whatever you want.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, if I really feel like it, I could make some noise if I wanted to, come out and say, look, I decided as a white man, I hated myself so much that from here on out, I'm going to believe that I am from the Congo.
He's a transgender black Santa.
I'm going to be a transracial Santa, and I'm going to call myself Congolese. And I'm not Santa. I'm Kwanzaa bot or whatever.
Yeah. Hey, you moved to California. You moved to California, and they'll fucking fund your operation.
Yeah, no shit.
Put it on your driver's license for you.
Right? And then, if somebody mispronounces your gender in public, they'll get fined and they have to pay you.
Yeah.
Man.
Right. There you go.
Yep.
Man, Tony Tone looks like Matthias off of the Omega Man with Charlton Heston.
No, Unabomber.
Unabomber. I like that one.
That's probably closer to it. Well, hey, fellas, I think we're about ready to wrap it up. If you guys are ready to tone down a little bit.
Here, and I gotta be up at 8. That's as late as I could probably sleep tomorrow.
Yeah.
I got an engine to tear down. It's gonna be fun.
It's an adventure, right?
And you got pigs.
Links for the chat. Yeah, that's in the morning. We're supposed to get links from all the videos in the bottom after I get this chat closed out. I also just saw a video came out that got posted over on Jay Grady. It's got some of the BLM body cams plus drone footage, or would be the NHP plane footage as well. I haven't been able to look all the way through it. Just came during chat. Post that in there, and it hasn't been released so far, but different stuff. So we'll check that out. Yeah, it's got significant airplane footage compared to what we've seen before. Check that out and continue to follow along. I mean, we were on some sort of list, so exactly what level of a kill list we're on, I guess we don't know. Out, right?
No, Tony's number 38, but you're number 28. Sorry about that, HD, but you know.
Well, Brandon's
that
25 apparently, so I'm behind Brandon.
MOS of yours jacked you up there. You know that, right? Your MOS made you up a little higher.
That's all classified. They don't know nothing about that.
Right. Who classified?
Thanks everybody for coming out in the chat room.
Hey, I'm gonna stick around.
It looks like
I don't know if you want to throw a private chat link. I'm gonna stick around.
Looks like it was 520 leftists, Bikes and JJ Crom,
and
part of the grill is still out there. Wrap it up here, fellas. You guys want to do a shout out before we roll out? Start with you, Mule.
I just say thanks to everybody who listens. You know, try and wake other people up. And, you know, it's fun to rag on them, but we need people. We need fucking intelligent people who are going to think and pay attention. So please continue to try and wake people up.
All right, Tony.
Thanks, HD.
thanks for getting to us after you figured out your phone wouldn't work.
All
right.
Thanks for throwing me an invite.
Yeah, no, we can't talk about Bundy without you. I mean, that's just against the law.
For reals. For reals.
Right. All right, Saints, you got anything?
Thanks for the invite. I enjoyed it. It was a good one. Don't eat your preps up. Don't burn up your ammo. It ain't over.
No doubt. If anything else, double down on that.
There you go.
No doubt. But yeah, thanks everybody for coming out. It's definitely been a good chat. Hopefully everybody has seen the beginning. If you didn't get to see the beginning, definitely rewind and go back to the beginning to check out some of the stuff about the Bundy kill list and the new revelations of the court. We'll see how things shake out, but I think that still will go to trial at some point, and we'll still be fighting this fight. So it definitely ain't over, like you say. Y'all be good out there. Everybody have a good weekend. Prepare for Christmas. Live free.